Right, team, if we can just come to order, please. Good morning and welcome back to day 2 of the reconvened Council Annual Plan meeting. We will commence with the presentation from the officers' reports, the topics that have resulted from submissions. Agenda item 1, submissions on the annual plan 2026-27. The report is on page 5 of the agenda. The presenters for the report this morning are Talia, Danica.
Talia is not.
Okay, it's Caroline and Danica. And they will address the topics which were included in the consultation document. Elected members will have an opportunity to ask questions following each presentation prior to considering the topic recommendations. Team, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. So this report covers the topics that were included in the annual plan consultation document. So I'll just provide a quick overview of the consultation process that was undertaken, and then we'll work through each topic that requires a decision as they're ordered in section 4 of the report. And this will just allow the subject matter experts to be here to answer any questions as you're deliberating. So the annual plan consultation was open from the 30th of March through to the 24th of April. Online submissions were encouraged through the Say at Napier website, and hard copy submission forms were available at customer services and the libraries. In total, we received 328 submissions and we had 25 submitters speaker hearings yesterday. The topics included in the consultation document were a change to how we recover transportational roading costs, a change to how we charge inner city CCTV monitoring, changes to the revenue and financing policy, and changes to fees and charges. So section 4.1 of this report starts off with a summary of the comments made in response to the question, do you have any other comments on our annual plan? So of the 328 submissions that were received, about half of submitters included written responses that contained feedback other than no or not applicable. So overall, the feedback highlighted concerns in relation to affordability and fairness. Submitters referenced cumulative rates increases, wider cost of living pressures, and called for greater focus on core services and financial discipline. A large proportion of the responses to this question also just reinforced views that were expressed throughout the rest of the consultation. So most notably, this included opposition to the proposed removal of the rural residential rating category, which is a matter that we'll discuss in more detail as we work through the report. So happy to stop here for any questions at this point. Otherwise, I can hand over to Caroline to cover section 4.2, which is the first topic that we're seeking a decision from.
Any questions, team? Not at this stage. Please carry on.
Thank you. I'll just start by providing a little bit of background on the revenue and financing policy changes. So over the last 12 months, a number of workshops were held with Council to review the sources of funding for both operating and capital costs for each council activity. Section 101, Part 3 of the Local Government Act sets out the process that Council must undertake when reviewing its revenue and financing policy. And this involved us assessing each activity to determine the appropriate funding source, consider the impact on revenue needs, while also taking into account the impact on future social, economic, environmental and cultural wellbeing of the community. A large part of the process involved assessing the impact and pros and cons of changing the rating calculation basis from land value to a full capital value rating methodology, and reviewing the differentials to reflect the impacts on council services and infrastructure. Through the process, Council also considered other options such as no changes, just staying with status quo, and also moving to a full capital value rating methodology. Although the CV methodology was considered a more accurate and fair measure, given it is based on the total value of a property, it was agreed that now was not the appropriate time to proceed given the volume of change about to impact local government with the local government reforms. So the preferred options relating to the changes to the revenue and financing policy were consulted on. And did you just want me to go through the first option?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, so the first one being a change to how we recover transportation costs by removing these costs from the general rate and charging by way of a targeted rate. based on capital value, 85% for rural, 100% for residential and 260% for commercial properties to more accurately reflect the differences in use, impact and benefit. That was the preferred option that we consulted on. Any questions?
Any questions, team? Right. I think what we need to do is have a discussion about some of these topics and note that at this stage these are officer recommendations only, as opposed to having our input about now to see if we want to do something different from the officer's recommendations. So what I think I might do is we'll just go through a few of these topics and see if we can find some common ground for what we... Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Mr Chair, probably it's appropriate at this time that as an affected party I declare a potential conflict of interest on some of the matters we're going to discuss today, but seek your dispensation to continue to contribute on the basis that the effect is no greater than any other ratepayer.
Yeah. While it's not my decision to control your responses to conflicts, I absolutely agree with you, because whatever affects you has an opposite effect on probably a residential ratepayer. Mm-hmm. So I personally wouldn't have thought you would perhaps had a conflict any worse than anyone else.
I think it's a case of transparency.
And yeah, absolutely appreciate that, as do our community.
Yep. And
I think well said. And yeah, I don't believe it'll be any greater than anyone else's.
Right, so the items I particularly refer to are as items 4.4, which are resolutions C3 and C4. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Right, so the first bit perhaps we need to discuss is a change to how we recover transportation and roading costs. The preferred option, I think, was option 1, which went to capital value. Does anyone want to discuss doing something different with that? Councillor Crystal.
Well, I just wanted to just discuss about it, because I went home last night and had quite a big think and did some stats on various properties and stuff and how it affects them. And to be fair, it's quite, even in the same street, it's quite different depending on what your land and capital value is. I particularly looked at the Esk Hills, and some are better off and some are not. So it's very, very hard for them to make that call, because it was quite interesting. And also the utilities, I know we spoke about it yesterday, but the utilities, only Unison came to us and did a submission out of all the utilities companies, and then they said that basically we're one of the few that are charging land value and everyone else is on capital value, which was a really interesting comment to make, and we almost had to draw it out of them to get that feedback that they're already paying. That's the norm in many of their places that they are dealing with. And so the one question I didn't ask them was, are their fees spread across the whole of the different areas, or is it regional? And apparently it's regional, and apparently they charge us quite a lot in our region. So the argument, I don't think, stacked up. So that was a few things that I kind of looked at.
Yep.
Another thing about
yep. Just a note to that, they did also discuss that some of the other areas had a lower differential, as opposed to 2.6. They were into the ones.
Some were twos.
Yep.
Some were twos.
Some were twos.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Yep. I think if I can just draw out, I think there was a lot of confusion about the transport as well, whether it came to buses and various bits and pieces. I'd just like to just note that.
I think the name is not good. Like calling it the transportation rate is probably not the best name for it, because it's actually about pulling roading out. I don't know. Yeah, people think transportation. In my mind, I go to buses and stuff. I don't know if the name for it is the right name, and yeah, that's my view. But.
Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Mr Chair. I did some equivalent research, although it was basically a case of going back and having a look at some previous notes. But I think when we look at the bigger debate around general rating, we are the only city in New Zealand that doesn't use capital value rating. Most of the unitary authorities use capital value rating, and a majority of the district councils use capital value rating. So from that basis, we're actually a little bit well out of step or well behind the process, the progress that's been made by other councils in understanding fairness and equity about rating systems. And it's just ironic that we've picked out one parcel of our cost structures and said, let's charge that at capital rating, but we'll leave everything else at land value. And I think it just shows a bit of an inequity in how we understand and address the basis for going for capital rating for the roading network was to understand the cost of maintenance and repair caused by industrial trucking and logistics. And I think that's the point that has been lost in the public discussion, is around who are the greatest contributors to the repairs and maintenance, in particularly our industrial areas and on our main arterial routes. And I think that was part of the debate as to why we would shift that particular aspect of our rates base across into capital value, to recognise that it's those that are making capital investment or are industrial related, i.e. capital, are the ones that are causing the damage to our roading network. So I think that's where we are. But what it does demonstrate is when you look at how other councils, we wouldn't be, if we were setting capital value for our rating system, our general rating system, then we wouldn't be having this debate, because it would simply be part of the rating cost.
Yeah, and I'd certainly agree with most of that. Councillor Simpson. Is the way to do it in bits and pieces, or is it better to do it all at once? And also throw in timing with simplifying local government. Are we going to end up doing something and then have to do something else anyway? Potentially or highly likely if we're an odd one out. And so yeah, Councillor Morley.
Through you, Chair. During our workshops, the risk of the utilities companies was raised of them passing on the costs that we impose on them onto the ratepayers. And I think at that time we were advised that risk would be minimal. Yet we see in recent media that there was a piece, I think last night, that came out that they reported that the utilities companies would hammer the ratepayers with these additional costs. So I think that's just something we should consider as well, the potential burden on the ratepayer.
Yeah. And I guess if we're maybe the potential burden on all our retail as well.
I don't know if you just want Caroline to clarify what that number actually is.
So just for your information, the annual impact for Unison is in the order of $100,000 increase on their rates per year.
Councillor Crown.
Thank you, through you, Mr Chair. A couple of things. My recollection of us considering separating out the transportation rate was also from a transparency perspective, to make sure that ratepayers were aware of the cost of recovery for that activity. I agree with the point raised by Councillor Crystal, perhaps not the best label for this. And I think throughout the submissions we've seen opportunity perhaps for more detail around rates and how we explain them to our public. But that transparency thing actually speaks into the Rating Act as well itself, because transparency and fairness are two of the principles that we're asked to consider and to make sure that we are, I guess, trying to adhere to as much as possible. So for me, separating it out actually is a sensible thing. The capital value part of it,
Look, I think, given where we are at with simplification, if we're going to use that argument, we wouldn't make a decision about anything. We, as a sector, we're known, or our public seem to think that we kick the can down the road for many things. So if this is, and capital value is shown to be the fairer, more reasonable and balanced way to calculate these types of rates. So in my mind, it actually makes more sense to continue with the recommendation. The other thing that it does is that it really differentiates between land that is developed and land that is not. So if you have bare land, they wouldn't be paying as much as land that has been developed, which in my mind makes a lot of sense too. It really reflects sort of the different levels of activity on the network better. So that's been some of my thinking overnight and after reading through the submissions as well.
Carolyn?
Through the Chair, just another piece of information. We have a stormwater targeted rate that we also charge based on capital value, and the rationale for that was that generally places with, properties with higher capital value have a higher footprint or a higher catchment area, so that was to reflect the larger impact that those properties would have on our stormwater network.
Yeah. Karen, what effect would this have on our CBD retailers? Would it lower their rates or would it increase them?
I'd have to refer to my
As a rule.
rating modellers.
Yeah. Sorry for the trick question. Yeah. Any further questions, perhaps, while that's being worked through? Councillor Lawrence?
Maybe just a reminder for us as well while we're discussing this is that out of the 328 submissions that were made, 157 of those were remaining status quo. And I would say that the 32% of no response given may have been that lack of understanding about the transportation charge. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of remind us about that when we're discussing this.
Yep, good call. Councillor Brownlee?
To the Mayor. Hey, I'm sort of thinking that if you want to be transparent, you can still be transparent with it at land value, and it's easy to pull that out of the rate, I assume, Caroline. But the other thing is, I don't think we've done enough work on it for our ratepayers, and I think there needs to be more work done on it before we decide on where we're going to go on this. But if you want to be transparent, that can be still pulled out, I believe. So, yeah.
Any further discussion or questions or queries?
Just one thing about the submissions, when you read them all, I would say probably half of them misunderstood what that transportation meant. So many talked about buses and being close to bus stops and their availability, and to be fair, that's probably our fault for not explaining it well enough. But so that I think that swayed things a bit as the people's misunderstanding of what we were trying to achieve in that. And a lot of people, when I asked them, have you checked it out on our calculator what it means to you? They hadn't. They just assumed the rates would be dearer, and for a lot of them, they are not. So, yeah, it wasn't probably the best form of understanding for our ratepayers of that, what we're trying to achieve.
Through the Chair, I'd have an answer to your question now. So on average, the CBD ratepayers would be better under this option, but obviously it does vary, but on average they would be better off.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Yeah, I'd just like to make the comment a little bit along the lines of what you're referring to, that local government is going through a massive, or what we believe will be a massive change in the next couple of years. And I agree that, we can't kick the can down the road forever, but rating in the future, whatever the way governance is set up, is going to be under a complete review, I would think. So I just think we need to take that into consideration. I'm a full supporter of moving to capital value rather than land value. And so in this particular case, I support it. But I think in the back of our mind, as we work through this process today in relation to rates, we must think that in 2 years' time, rating will be under a complete review, and that could be the opportunity for when all parts of the rating program move to capital value, which would be more in line with the rest of the country.
Councillor Price.
Just to clarify a point from Councillor Morley, no matter which way we go, the ratepayer's going to pay, aren't they? So it's just which way it comes in. Yeah. Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions?
If I just may make one final comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think there are so many different variables that we have to think of when we sit around this table and do this. And even next year, we will have another annual plan where we have questions about rates and decisions that we have to make about rates. The key thing for me about this is that there are some facts that we know, and that is capital value is a fairer, more balanced way of calculating who uses this service, which is everyone across the city, whether they are a rural residential person or whether they're commercial. We get things delivered to us, people drive on the roads, the other roads to get to schools. It applies to everyone. So in my mind, the facts that we know and the things that we've learned along the way, as well as the feedback that we've gotten from our community, which is that we probably need to explain things better, it says to me that we should make the decision to change it, because if we do nothing, it preserves a system that we already know is less transparent, it's less intentional, and it's increasingly disconnected from how the city actually functions. And to me, that's a key part of what we're supposed to be doing as governors.
Right, so we've got a couple of different schools of thought coming out here, so I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll just leave the officer's recommendation as it is, and when we get to it, we'll debate it as is. And I guess if it doesn't pass, then we'll look for other options. Right, if we move into the CCTV part of things, we're being asked today to choose from 3 options, but just to note there was 5 options, and the status quo isn't one that's been put forward here, but it is an option if anyone would like to discuss all options or what they'd like to see. Councillor Crown?
I have some questions for Officer.
Yeah. Take some questions on CCTV?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to understand, does the 24/7 monitoring include NCC-owned CCTV cameras outside of the CBD area?
There's a seat for you up here, Simon.
Yeah, come on up.
Paying by the hour.
All right. Could you just repeat that question for me, Councillor Crown?
I wanted to know whether the 24/7 monitoring included NCC-owned CCTV cameras outside of the CBD area.
The CCTV is focused on the CBD.
Right.
However, there are a small number of cameras outside of the CBD, which could be used if there's a crime detected in the CBD, and we need to understand where a vehicle may be exiting, and we'll be passing that intel directly through to police. But generally, most of the time, all of our efforts is focused on watching cameras in the CBD.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Yeah.
Are they, sorry, this is my not understanding probably the system. Are they CCTV cameras, those ones that are outside of? Can they be linked into the circuit?
That is correct, and they've also got LPR technology, so they can recognise the licence plates.
I've got a question
of
about
the
that for
front
later.
cars.
I've got a question about that for later. Then my next question was, what is the parking reserve purpose?
It is used for the CBD and costs that or activities that support the function of our CBD, such as parking being one of the things, and parking occupancy and turnover, but also some, capital improvements within the CBD as well, or activities such as Napier Assist, which can support the safety and function of our CBD.
Oh, thank you.
Councillor Lawrence?
Through the chair. Have we explored some cost efficiencies with using Community Patrol New Zealand to help with that 24/7 surveillance monitoring? I'm of the understanding that when they're managed by the police that they use Community Patrol New Zealand. It's a trusted organisation with New Zealand Police, and have we explored this to look at some cost efficiencies around monitoring those cameras?
We've reached out to them, and there is some correspondence happening at the moment, but we've also talked with police as well about what potential support might be provided in that space too.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah. I will get you to use a microphone because we're being beamed out. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, we haven't got one at the moment.
One extra seat.
Yeah, so Simon might not be aware because it was probably before he came into the role, but it used to be monitored by a community group. The difficulties that we had with that and why we changed that model is because it was on a volunteer basis, it wasn't consistent. We would only get a sort of limited service at certain times. And so when we did quite a lot of research in the new model, the new service model of Napier Assist, we did a lot of consultation. We had a working group of like police and Māori wardens and many other groups to determine what was the best approach. And one of the options was continuing with a voluntary basis, but that was ruled out because it wasn't a consistent service. So, yeah.
Councillor Crown?
Thank you, through the chair. In the officer's recommendation, one of the options is to fully fund the inner city CCTV monitoring from the general rate. What cost and resourcing would be required if we were to include or widen the network to include the locations that are outside of the CBD as well?
Yeah, I think I won't be able to give you a number, but I could tell you that it would be a significant cost because I think at the moment there's only, like I said, a small number, could even be in the single digits of cameras outside of the CBD, and the other 200 and between 200 and 300 cameras are within the CBD. So to widen our network outside of the CBD.
No, sorry, I'm talking about including the small number of cameras that already exist outside of the CBD. What would that incur a big cost to us to bring them into the 24/7 monitoring?
Yeah, do you mean for us to look at them?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Simon might be able to answer better than I, but as I understand, a human can only look at so many images at any one time, and the way that the system works is the overnight the cameras are trained onto the areas that you most want to focus on. And probably if we were to widen it out, it's possible, but it wouldn't be at the same level of service that we would do for the CBD, because, you would then have to sacrifice some of the TV space, if you like, for cameras that are outside so that they are on on the TV all the time, and so you might be sacrificing some of your CBD cameras unless you increase the amount of people who are monitoring, and then that would come at a staff cost.
Yeah, but what about technology and the operating system or the system that we're using to do the monitoring to the TVs? Is there an option or is there any sort of pathway around utilising AI so then the right thing is beamed to the right TV at the right time?
Yeah, and it's motion censored and, that sort of thing. And some of those areas, the cameras will pop up if there's motion detected, but we would have to get some technical advice about what cameras to make motion censored, because some of those in public spaces would be just triggering all of the time. Yeah.
Councillor Price and Councillor Morley.
So when I look at the options here, it concerns me that we don't watch West Quay and that our costings prevent us from doing that, which is probably what should be watched later at night. So we don't watch or monitor West Quay.
So there's only very limited cameras, and one option we have through the Inner Harbour project is to consider, through that set-TED design, the crime prevention through environmental design work that we'll be doing as part of the master planning, we can start thinking about, right, what do we need actually to make that area safe from all sorts of risks and hazards. Secondly, there has been an opportunity that we might be able to take up for some proceeds of crime funding for some additional cameras. It's very early days. We don't know if we'll be successful in that, but we are exploring it together with police.
Yeah, so I'm looking more, when we talk about this, of trying to help you grow the areas that are problem areas that we should be monitoring now.
Yeah.
And that, so the way we come out of this is what I'm looking at. I'm not trying to catch you out or anything like that.
I think it's like a priority basis, right? So the CBD, we put a lot of intensity into that area through monitoring and through the number of cameras, because we were getting a high crime rate at night, and the retailers were very concerned and were coming to council about that crime, and they were really worried about that trend. And so by adding more cameras into different other problem areas, you'll reach a saturation point where you'll need more people monitoring.
Yeah.
But then you could take a priority basis and say, well, right now we understand, the crime trend is this area, so you might, on a priority basis, say we will be at night time monitoring this area because that's where the crime trend is. That means some other trade-offs would have to be accommodated, though, if you didn't want to increase your monitoring.
That answer would tell me we need to assist to get bigger and more, because we're trying to cover too much area with a very small tool.
Well, I think it's just based on crime trends. I'd want to answer that, I'd want to understand from the police, what is, say if you're talking about the West Quay area, what is the crime rates there versus the CBD? Where's your evidence base? And we could understand that more.
I think there's plenty for West Quay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably vice versa, if there's areas that we end up not monitoring because there's no crime, people could potentially be paying for a service they don't receive.
Yeah, I think also when the officers are monitoring and, like we've had a couple of incidents where cars have been, or stolen cars in fact even, have been driving around at night, and the police have been called and they've been picked up. There's this preventative and deterrent effect that happens as a result of that, even though no crime, it's a stolen car, that's a crime, but if it weren't a stolen car, there's no crime has occurred, but it's a deterrent effect of actually people are watching, and this is not an easy target. Either the CBD or West Quay or whatever it is not an easy target in Napier.
Was it Councillor Morley next, and Councillor Isaac Charlin?
Through your worship. Just on the technology side, most CCTV cameras these days have motion detection built into them. Those that don't, you can still recognise movement in software and applications. And the great thing with software is that you can actually set hot points and no-go zones, and if there's any intrusion in those areas, you can trigger a flag or a warning. You don't actually need physical eyes looking at a monitor 24/7 to actually get alerts and have monitoring. What happens is that you set your no-go zones, you can get a remote...
Councillor Morley, you're coming to a question, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Carry on.
And set alerts and get remote warnings. So my question is, considering the technologies, considering all the cameras that we have, and considering also that a lot of our CBD premises have their own cameras, has council got access to their cameras, the actual business cameras that we can monitor as well?
No, we don't. There's a different system that we're on, and like you say, that's got some technology that we can use for motion detection and no-go zones and things. Yep, and we've also got point, tilt, and zoom cameras and things, which are come at a much different cost to those that get put in for the retailers and the hospitality and commercial spaces. So at this stage, it's in.
And supplementary, sorry.
Yep.
And just to follow up on that, the police actually can access private owners of CCTV as well if there's any incidents. Is that correct?
I don't think officers can comment on that.
Yep.
Sorry, Councillor.
Right. What I'd like to do is actually just wind this back to, we're discussing more so who should pay, and with our options, not how they're run or where or who or why or how big the TV screen should be. Councillor Isaac Sharlin.
Through the chair, can you just remind me what measurable evidence demonstrates reductions in harm, crime, or improved police outcomes?
Yep. There is a record kept of incidences that we provide. I think that comes through in the quarterly reports that have been received. So we see what activities done through the Napier Assist. As Rachel pointed out earlier, a lot of the time it's that prevention and deterrent that is not as easy to measure because the crime doesn't occur. But there is certainly times that I've been made aware of where we've picked up cars driving through town with their lights off, cars slowing down as they go down Emerson Street and looking suspicious, that we pass on to police, and police end up subsequently finding out that those individuals or that vehicle might be suspicious and have to follow up with. So yeah, it's the easiest to...
Yes.
Thank you. That was awesome. And have we assessed whether targeted CCTV rates could negatively affect CBD investment, occupancy, and business sustainability?
Could you ask that again, sorry?
Have we, or council, have we assessed whether targeted CCTV rates could negatively affect or impact CBD investment, occupancy, and business sustainability? I will say, I'm asking this question because of yesterday. That seemed to be one of the things that they were saying.
Yeah, look, I don't think we can comment on the economic impacts of a cost to businesses on the CCTV. We haven't done that research.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I think maybe I will just add to Rachel's response. I think we certainly can reinforce that there's with that CCTV, that public safety and that crime prevention and the function that you get within the CBD as a result of it has got those positive impacts. So it's difficult to answer the economic side, but we do know that with the CCTV, there is a sense of security and safety, and therefore some use within our CBD as a result of those.
Thank you.
Yeah, just through the chair. A couple of submitters and for myself, we're just sort of wondering, looking at that $240,000, loosely that equates to $82 an hour. Just wondering what we're actually getting, seeing it's an in-house service, what we're getting for our money, assuming that it's based on a sort of an 8-hour, sort of 10 till 6 window. If someone could just explain a little bit about what we're getting for value for money.
Labour cost effectively is the part of it. I think that the total function of our Napier Assist is $1.5 million as an operating budget, and a percentage of that, which is a part of our labour cost, is needed to be in there throughout the nights, most of our year to monitor the CCTV, so it's covering our labour cost to support.
Okay. Yep.
Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Can just, because I've got to get a question in here somewhere, don't I?
I tried.
Can you just confirm that although we are monitoring the CBD as the first focus, that if an event happens outside of the CBD, we can then train our thought to those cameras outside of the CBD to assist the police in locating maybe a vehicle or people. Can you confirm that?
Yes, yes, we can, where there is camera coverage, but just reiterating that it is limited beyond the CBD. But absolutely, if there's a request in from police and we have the ability to, shift our focus to a space that that camera is able to see, then we would be doing.
So just as supplementary, if a vehicle was involved in an incident in the CBD, you could perhaps track it moving through Mariwa and out further to Taradale, as long as there are some cameras in those areas, and you would be able to provide that information to assist the police in locating that vehicle.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
And that happens on a regular basis, and it happens at the time of the event. It also happens after evidentially for police. So the police rely on the evidential tracking of the camera footage for when they're taking prosecutions through the court.
Through you, wish, I'll be foreshadowing option 3, as I believe that this is a public good and it affects the whole of Napier community, not just the CBD.
Yep, early days. We're just having a discussion as opposed to too much further down there.
Shadowing that.
I'm just not accepting any of that currently.
No,
Right,
that's
been down that track before, so I'm just trying not to write us into a corner too early. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Mr Chair. Just want to ask the officers to repeat one of the statements they made earlier on and just reiterate for me so that I am satisfied that I heard correctly, and that was that the retailers in the CBD approached council to have a look at the crime and the impacts on the area and asked us to implement a plan to resolve the problem on their behalf. Is that how I interpret it?
Yes, that is correct. So originally when Napier Assist was first conceived, it was conceived on the basis of CBD safety. The increasing of begging and homelessness, and shoplifting was another very big statistic at the time. And so Napier Assist was conceived on the basis of being an ambassador service for the CBD. And now that we have that set up, the options of it being expanded and widened as a network and as a service has come about. But that was its genesis. And then it was always going to be a daytime service until it could reach a capacity of being 24-hour. But that quickly became unaffordable. So we remained at a daytime service. And then, of course, we then had the crime trend of ram race, thank you. And that was quite a trend. And that's when the NCBI and others came to us and asked council and police to do something about it. And the police have confirmed that they won't be putting resources into CCTV monitoring at night. And so it sort of fell a bit to us, and this is the option that we've come up with. That was why this has come about.
If I can just conclude there that we have incurred a cost on behalf of a group of ratepayers to solve a problem that enhances their business attractiveness and security, and now we're being asked to potentially spread that cost across the entire community when there is a clearly a group of ratepayers that are the greater beneficiaries.
Oh, sorry, did you want a response to what? What was your question?
We're in discussion as well, and he was looking my way as opposed to your way on that one.
I couldn't see him.
I'd like to remind him that while it's the retailers, they will have customers that live in our city as well who quite like a safe city. As we've surveyed in the past, safety's been quite high on the community's priority list. I do have a question though. Is there enough money? I'm looking at one of the other options out here, which is the status quo. Do we have enough money in our parking fund to get us through a year if we needed to?
Yes, we do for another year.
Yep.
But if it was to be ongoing, like over a longer term, it just keeps reducing the parking fund. So eventually we'll run out of money in the parking fund to fund it.
Do we have any current projects that we're looking to fund out of the parking fund?
No, the parking reserve account is largely there, it was largely ring-fenced so that we would be able to buy strategic property assets and things like that in the city to support good parking and outcomes and flow of the city. So those purchases can be quite significant, and you need easy, quick access to funds to be able to do those sorts of things. That's what it primarily is there for. More lately, we have widened out its scope to be able to support the CBD because the money is generated from the CBD through parking. It's there to support projects that enhance the CBD that support, good outcomes for the city. And we've used it a little bit more widely in that regard, but largely it's parking related.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to follow up, I notice now that our parking team and our city assist working together, one and the same, what have you. How do we pay the wages of our parking team? Does that come out of that reserve fund, or does that come out of general rates?
No, it's ring-fenced to the reserve.
Okay, so they're all kind of one and the same. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion or questions on this? What I might do, just for a little bit of simplification, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but we'll give it a whirl. And I'm just wondering whether we go into the next phase of this with 1, 2, 3 or 4 options or 5 options potentially, if we can narrow it down now, perhaps, or eliminate any of the options. Are we allowed to do that, governance, at this stage? We're not in a...
It's not moved or seconded.
It's not moved or seconded? No. It would? We'll just carry on. We'll just...
No, I want us to debate it. I want us to debate it.
Okay, yep, not allowed to do things easy.
No, that's what I mean.
Right, any further discussion on that side of things?
So just through you, Mr Chair, just to clarify from that last point, the question that you raised about the funding and the payment of salaries and that sort of carry on, can I please get a confirmation that the fund, the parking reserve fund, is solely funded through the parking income?
Yeah, that's correct. So this is a almost what you'd call a user pays model. So people pay for parking, and that money is used to pay for the activity of parking regulation, and developing the CBD in a way that supports good parking outcomes.
So supplementary to that, Mr Chair, in that case, if we are considering an option and part of our consideration needs to be the sustainability or the practicality of an action or an activity that we're funding, clearly the current fund mechanism is not a sustainable funding mechanism unless we significantly increase the cost of people's parking in the CBD. Would that be how that would be achieved?
Thank you, that's correct.
Okay.
Any further on that? No, we'll move on then to our next one. What's our next one down here? Where are we? Wait. Over here.
Residential.
Transitioning from the rural residential differential.
Quick run-away.
Righty-ho. Any discussion or questions with regards to this one?
I'll kick it off. One of the things that came across very clearly was that the rural residential people thought being called residential meant they became under urban rules, such as keeping chickens or animals, or some of the rules that we have as urban dwellers that they do not have. They also thought that because they were going to residential, they would get water charges and things that they currently do not pay. There was a huge misunderstanding out there about what that meant. So I am very keen for them to keep the title rural residential. I think we should differentiate that they are different and they have different rules in our district plan than residents do. And as part of that, I also think that they should have a differential. But yeah, it was very obvious talking to some of the people afterwards, that misunderstanding of what was trying to be achieved, that was, you know, that if they're called residential, they were going to have to meet all those, the same rules that urban people do.
Yep. Councillor Price?
I totally agree with what Councillor Crystal has said. I think I also think Councillor Simpson brought it up yesterday that our invoice we send out, whatever, should be the same for the whole city, so they see that they don't pay for water, instead of thinking where's water paid for, and then they put it into general rate. And I think that's a message we could send out. Also, and I know they're two separate systems, but the district plan and our rating, people that are struggling can't, on rural residential, can't cut a bit of land off and sell it to keep themselves alive, or so-called alive. And I think that maybe when a rating system might change down the track, as we've talked about earlier, could be a good time that this gets sorted and we leave the status quo in that area.
Yeah. I've just, with the submissions we received, were they 100% for not changing, or was it closer than that?
110.
So I can comment on that. Since this wasn't a question that was directly answered, or asked, sorry, as part of consultation, it wasn't a separate question, it was just part of a bigger topic. We haven't technically asked anyone, so there wasn't a split on votes of options.
Okay, yeah. Councillor Crown.
Thank you, through the chair. However, it was the topic that we received the most feedback on. Is that correct?
So in the other comment section,
Yes.
and just throughout the different options, people did make comments. I can't say if it was the thing that we received the most. It was just a key theme from those comments.
Okay. It felt like the most.
Yeah, so for example,
Can't confirm it was 100%.
with the 328 submissions, half of them in the annual plan comment box responded, and it was a key theme from that. So it was half of the responses, strong theme out of that. Not a definite number though.
And look, I think good on them. You know, like we do these processes too here from the community, so good on them. I think the comments that have already been made are excellent and make a lot of sense, because in my mind that misunderstanding actually points to the fact that we didn't make the case well enough for people. We just didn't make the case well enough, and that's a learning for us. I think this is one that I've thought about a lot overnight, and I'm very much leaning towards that, just letting it be this time round.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
And as Graham alluded to earlier about foreshadowing a motion for that, not that I'm taking them now, but I'd be quite happy to do that. Yeah.
That's why I didn't use the word foreshadow.
Yeah. That's why I worded it how I did. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. While I'm reluctant to enter the debate because of my perceived conflict, one of the things that I think has stood out every time we've had this debate with the rural ratepayers over the last 6 years, one of the ratepayers that understand that water and waste are out of the equation, they understand are the ones that, and we had one yesterday morning talking about the safety of the eroding networks. And quite clearly, that is a position that some of them feel passionately about, especially those with children who are trying to get to the rural bus, and there's no footpath. They're trying to get home down narrow country lanes. Not that I would encourage everybody to suddenly hop in their car and go and have a look, because the last thing they need is urban people congesting their rural roading network. But I think when we look at it clearly, one of the things, and it is the transportation debate that we had earlier on, there is clearly not an equal level of service around the standards and the construction of the roading network, or the footpath network, even on one side of the street, or the street lighting network. The level of service between urban streets and roading network versus the rural streets, even in the Bayview settlement, the street makeup is far inferior to what the urban ratepayers currently get as a level of service. And I think even just taking that one matrix or metrics to determine are we giving equal level of service, I think is an area where we should be looking. And the other one around the district plan, we talk about hanging overheads as a result of losing the water services. It's exactly the same thing with people that have large blocks of land that they can't subdivide. They've effectively got a hanging overhead that they can't do anything about, either be topography or the district plan, or if it's the subdivisional code of compliance that they can't match. So they are operating in a very different space to what urban ratepayers are operating.
Yes. Can I just get clarification? What is the current differential?
90 for
90.
rural residential.
That's an increase considerably. And urban ratepayers, if I can just provide an example, a personal example, over the last 6 years, my rates have gone up 400%. And I'm not alone, and some rural ratepayers have had higher increases.
Yes, did you agree? Did you agree to those? Unbelievable.
I think you'll note in the minutes that I have sat in opposition quite regularly in this debate.
No, that's right.
For indulging me.
Through the chair.
Must have been on low rates initially.
No rates.
Part of that reason could be the fact that at the last big full review of our revenue and financing policy back in, I think, 2021 or we transitioned the rural residential differential was sitting at 65, and over time it's transitioned up to 90. And that was really just to reflect that the rural residential properties have similar access to the urban services that a residential property would have, like libraries, pools, parks, etc.
Councillor Brownlee.
Through the Mayor. With the simplification of local government, and which is coming along, have we done any work on what our neighbours charge for rural residential and rural ratepayers to do some comparisons at all?
We can do, but like, for example, Hastings have their rating system is divided into 2 categories, urban and rural. And then within those categories, they have all sorts of differentials. So it's quite hard to compare apples with apples.
Councillor Lawrence.
Through the Mayor. I just, one thing that was common yesterday was, regardless how this is all calculated, and that it's dollars and cents to people. That's what they see, and that's what hurts them. So, yeah, regardless how we divvy up the pie, and that these rural residents, it seemed to be common that they had a lot higher increase than the standard average 8.8%.
So any more questions or discussions with regards to this one? I think we might have a direction we're heading. There are juicy ones. The revenue and financing policy. Is there anything we need to discuss or question with this one? Councillor Morley.
Through your worship, is this the space to discuss changes to that policy, or is that for later on?
You got some questions?
There's a couple of errors that I've picked up in that paper.
Very short, very quickly, could you just tell us what they are?
Right, I'll just. Why didn't you send them through? I believe it's on page 25 of the policy. The activity that operates out of the War Memorial is given as Napier Conference and Events Centre. I believe that we should be deleting the word centre. It is Napier Conference and Events.
That one.
And the building is referred to as the Napier War Memorial Conference Centre. It is not that name. The correct name is Napier War Memorial Centre.
Give you those ones, Councillor Morley. I agree 100% and well picked up. And that'll be an ongoing battle that that I'm sure you'll help fight for us. Absolutely respect that one. Yep.
Thank you, Worship. And if council staffers require an explanation or some history on the War Memorial, then you're welcome to come and have a chat with me.
And that would that council time would surely raise our rates. So we'll take that under consideration.
Got a long weekend.
Oh, double time.
Which is fine.
Right. Well done. Thank you for that, Councillor Morley. Fees and charges. Any brief discussion on that side of things? No.
Through the chair, just noting that there's a separate paper coming to this meeting on the trade waste fees and charges. So that's a separate item.
Yep, we'll come into that later. Right. Now we're learning about how and where we're supposed to go from here. So bear with me. We're going to animal shelter.
Well, that's one of the 4.7.
Capital funding.
Down here. Yep. Animal shelter, any questions or discussions with regards to the animal shelter? Looking for more money from 3.85 million to 5.35 million. Any questions at this stage with regards to that? Councillor Crystal.
It seems like a huge amount of money to build an animal shelter is where my thoughts are. To give an example, our new council chambers is costing 7 million, and yeah, I just really wonder are we in the, this is a council facility, so we're getting charged a lot. In this time when construction costs, people are fighting for jobs at the moment, to bid for jobs. It seems a lot. So I know I've read all the things about the value engineering and stuff, but wow, I struggle with 5.5 million.
Yep. And I think we may end up having a good debate about that. Oh, we've got some people coming to talk to us.
You go. Okay. Maybe I'll just ask, did you want to clarify the question in that, Councillor Crystal, for us?
Well, I was making a statement that it just seems even per square metre, well, what do we do it per square metre in building? It seems a lot. So I guess I know kind of what we get for that, but how is that justified?
Yeah, I guess I could give some context maybe to that statement. With the animal shelter, it is got some complexity in the build. You know, when you think about the need for all of the metalwork that will be needed to design to house our animals safely within there, with the temperature control that we need to do over winter when it's really cold, but also over summer when it's really hot within the building, has to meet a certain standard for compliance and for the health and safety of the animals in there and the people looking after them. So I guess when you're comparing it to something, it needs to be compared contextually to the same complexity of build rather than trying to compete, maybe an office build and what that costs compared to an animal shelter. They are going to be quite different. Yeah.
We have been quite considerate when we've been looking at building the facility to make sure that we've been looking at the all-of-life costs to make sure that the facility will last a long period of time and to make sure that we're building it with materials that will last the distance. And as Simon said, there is some complexity around the build because the facility needs to be washed down frequently, often multiple times a day, and with chemicals frequently as well. So it's hard to compare the cost on a per square metre basis with other sort of buildings. When you're thinking about council chambers, that's actually quite a simple build. It's effectively just a building. It's a little bit complex. It's not just a house or a building, but it's has some complexity to it. But this facility actually is a little bit complex because there aren't many of them around the country. It's not often built very often, but it is around obviously the complexity around heating it, keeping it sort of a similar temperature all year round, and then there's a safety factor as well in terms of the type of people that are often frequently visiting that facility and keeping the staff safe as well. So there is a bit of a complexity around the facility. It's not a huge facility, but we do want it to last 25, 30 years and make sure that it is safe for the animals and the staff for all of that time. We've engineered the facility as much as we can, and we've made sure that we're trying to ensure that the operating costs of the facility will hopefully actually be reduced as they move into this facility as well, and the operating costs will be hopefully lower on an ongoing basis. But yes, as we've moved into the more detailed design, the costs have increased. So that's why we're bringing this back to you. But we did come back and give you an update in March and indicated that we did think that the costs had escalated slightly past what our fiscal envelope was.
So I've just got a question. When are we looking to start the project?
When you say start in terms of construction?
Yeah.
Be later on this year.
So it's about October when we look in the current program.
Yep. Councillor Crystal.
Is it going out to tender?
It will, yes.
But that is my concern, is we publicly put in a figure and it becomes a target rather than a tender. So
no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, well, obviously we need to understand what the potential costs are, but I think that's still a very competitive market at the moment, and there's still some opportunity. We've still obviously got contingencies within this budget, and there's still some opportunity to actually bring that budget down and come well within the budget. So it's just a guide. It's a guide at this time, and it's an indication to you that we think that we need some additional budget.
Councillor Crown, then Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in discussion, this was an amber flag for me when the paper came through to us, mostly because of, I think, timing and what we had gone out publicly with, indicating that sort of 3.8, and then seeing the larger number come through. I did do some research around New Zealand, though. So Palmy, I think it was 2024, they had an animal shelter built, and theirs came in. Well, it kind of blew out. It was about $7 million, just over $7 million. So when I took that into context, it made me feel more comfortable around the additional 39% that we've been asked to consider today. So I just wanted to add that to the mix as well to provide a bit of context. And I do think it's a timing issue. It's just how we've released information. But I would say, I don't think people are going to like the number.
No.
So are going to like the number or not like?
I don't think they're going to like that number.
No.
We do think there's some opportunity within this number. We think this is an absolute cap. A ceiling, yeah.
Okay.
And we do think that the market is competitive right now, and we do have some good project managers working with us to achieve some value engineering within this number.
How does it affect the rates?
in terms of this doesn't affect this is built
Not
into
this
the.
year? Oh, it's already built into the 8.8?
Yeah.
Question, what revenue do we receive as a result from the animal shelter? So I'm just thinking we've got fees and charges as part of our equation. What revenue do we receive for what, like, you know, a dog gets picked up on the road or the street and it's held there and the owner comes along. What revenue do we receive to offset the loan funding that this would take?
I don't have that number exactly to hand. David White had indicated that there's some opportunity to achieve some additional income through the new facility, but he didn't want to sort of put a figure on that because that's not something that they sort of intentionally go out to achieve.
Yeah. And I think the other benefit is around the cost savings as a result of having that facility, and we'll be able to clean it more efficiently, we'll be able to operate it more efficiently, but also we would start being able to work with different parts of our community to support within that facility that it's now kind of safe and much more functional. And that means we might be able to rehome dogs, which we don't currently do, so we won't have to have the same holding costs of leaving them in the pound. We'll be able to bring in veterinary students from EIT and have them support some of the functions that we're doing down in there. So it's more a cost reduction, but we do recover impounding fees where possible from parts of our community, and it's not always possible for us to recover those funds in some cases.
It was more of an aim to encourage people to come and collect their dogs as opposed to try to recover fees from that aspect of things.
Total income for this, for the last financial year for the animal control, so that's everything like dog registration fees, impounding fees, etc., is in the order of $1 million.
Thank you.
I think there's obviously the opportunity to recover or pass on some of the costs through dog registration fees, but it's a bit of a happy medium or a balance around actually striking the right balance of those costs in terms of dog registration fees, in terms of getting people to register their dogs.
Okay.
Any further questions or discussion? I think the next ones are receives and the next ones are direct officers. So
Now we can have a cup of tea.
So I don't know whether you want to just ask.
I think we.
Who's ready to respond?
Okay, well, Furnace is here. We'll cover off that one as.
Design.
I don't know. Should we let them stand down? Do you think?
Should we let you go? Right.
Oh, really? We'll just go through this one then. So we're just going to have a quick discussion with regards to submission 318 made by Maxine Bogue on behalf of Tūtangata Maraenui Trust. And we have Thunas here to discuss that one.
Morena, councillors.
Morena.
I want to start just because to discuss this, I got a few questions from councillors, and I want to thank them for sending them to me, and that helped me to come back to you with this comment I would like to make. And this is about, we are aware of council's recommendation that Te Pahinga being part of the Halls review and the petition received yesterday. So we do want to acknowledge that we are aware of that. But in light of the challenges that we are seeing that we're having in local government at this point. We are looking at simplifying local government, rates capping, core services, and affordability. We're also looking currently at the review of our current facilities, looking to either move them out of council control or possibly closing some of them. So with this said, we need to be careful to not create an expectation in light of the mentioned challenges. And that's going into the long-term plan in the next or in this next few months. So the question is, should this project proceed, or will defining of core services and affordability not allow this process to go into the LTP? I know at this stage it will feel as if we are preempting what's happening, but I do think that it is a matter that if we continue in this, on this way of moving forward, we could be wasting a lot of time, and we could create a community's expectation that we're going to struggle to manage when we get to the LTP. So I'm just asking the question because we also have the review of the halls that we are looking at, or that we're working on at this stage. And the whole purpose of that is to possibly have less community halls, because we are looking through what they are bringing in, what are the numbers of people using them, and then also how they are spread across the city. So that's my question, councillors, and I know it's not an easy question, but in light of everything else, could we have that discussion?
Would you like that discussion now?
Well, either we take note of it, the council take note of it, because it needs to be held, before the final decisions are made, of course.
Yep. Well, I guess we were going to discuss it at some stage today. So, Deputy Mayor Taylor?
Just a question to start with. The indication through the submission was that we purchased the 2 sections from Kaingaora, and it was stipulated, or as a condition of that purchase, was that a community centre would be built on that. Is that confirmed?
That is correct, yes.
And what is our opportunity to sell those sections?
That will be a separate process that we will have to come back to council with, because we will have to look into that, those points that it was basically bought with the purpose for a community facility. So we will need to investigate that from a legal point of view, but also then what do we do with the land going forward?
So just going a little bit further in that part of the discussion, if the legal opinion was that, yes, we could sell it and utilise those funds for a different purpose, then those funds from the sale of those 2 sections could be used to develop an alternative community facility.
It's possible, because it will come down to council then making the decision on what they want to spend it on. Is that the best spend at that time to use that money for? Or are there a different option?
Okay, yeah. Gives me a bit of an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I ask is there is actually another hall facility within relatively close proximity, which if you sold the 2 sections and got $500,000, you could invest in developing that hall to be more appropriate as a community-based hub. So that's where I'm coming from. Rather than build another one, adapt.
It is an option.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any further discussion or questions? Councillor Morley?
Thanks, Thurnis, for your explanation. Yesterday, I recall that Maxine, in her submission, I think she mentioned $15 million at the cost of the existing plans were, because the plans were done a few years ago, and the cost may have gone up from the 11.5 initial.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the existing cost is for the existing plan?
I think that Maxine will have the best view on that, so I would go with her. But because I haven't looked at it into that detail yet. But yes, yeah, let me, yeah.
Thanks. And good advice as well in regards to Maxine.
Yeah. Councillor Mawson?
Yeah, just to remind Councillor Morley that they also said that they appreciate that's unrealistic and they weren't asking for that amount of money. So I don't think that's a valuable use of staff's time, personally.
Yep. Any further questions or discussions? No? Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, Thurnis, too, that the one thing that our council hasn't been great at over the years is actually buildings and bricks and mortar, whether it be maintaining them specifically. And we're actually looking to downsize to some degree with the likes of Kennedy Parks and aquariums and potentially Ocean Spa. And we're going to have a hell of a lot more building costs come on stream once our library and council chambers and building come back on as well. And we're also going to have to deal with our end of life in a harbour. There's a lot of things that we kind of almost need to get in-house sorted before we start building bigger and new things. So, yeah, and we're going to do that with a very low rates cap coming shortly. So, yeah, and a community with an ability to want to fund much more in the way of rates. So, yeah. Any clearer?
Yes, no, I'm fine, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Great. Look, what we're going to do is we are going to take a break now, and then we will, for 15 minutes, and we will come back to our agenda items.
On you.
team, we're back on board. I'll just reconvene our meeting from earlier this morning. I'm just going to note that we're just going to take the agenda items out of order this morning, and we're going to go move forward item 2, our our trade fees charges, and also agenda item 3 with regards to tank of water charges, because the reason for that is because we have our water team sitting around in the crowd waiting for us to do our other bits and pieces, and I think it'd be more productive if we can move them forward and have them going back to their day jobs rather than sit around waiting. So to that, agenda item 2, trade waste fees charges, and the report is on page 54 of your agenda. And the presenters here today, I've got Marcia and John and Thomas. I'm not sure how many of these.
They're all three.
They're all coming up. So you guys wish to come up? Who are the three?
All right. Good morning, councillors. This report brings back the proposed trade waste fees and charges following annual plan consultation and asks for your direction on how to proceed. In short, we're recommending that council does not proceed with the proposed volumetric increases and instead applies a CPI-only adjustment while we complete and consult on a new charging model. To explain how we've reached this position, trade waste charges are required to be set under the Local Government Act and our trade waste bylaw. That bylaw references a methodology in Schedule C of the Administration Manual. However, in practice, the methodology has proven too complex to implement, and we've been operating with a simplified volumetric model approach while developing a replacement model. At the time of annual plan consultation, that new model was not finalised, so the proposed increases were effectively an interim step, rather than being supported by a complete and tested charging framework. Importantly, this means that while the proposal was developed in good faith, we cannot clearly demonstrate that it fully aligns with the current bylaw methodology or provide the level of supporting detail that would normally underpin a robust pricing model. So we received submissions from key trade waste users, and while the number was small, they represent a significant portion of the trade waste base here in Napier. There were 4 consistent issues raised, which align with officer assessment. Firstly, bylaw compliance. We're not able to clearly demonstrate that the proposed increases align with the current Schedule C methodology. So in terms of confidence, officers cannot currently provide a high level of assurance that the proposed charges are fully compliant with the existing bylaw framework. Secondly, consultation adequacy. Submitters raised concerns about the level of information provided, and legal advice confirms there is a risk that consultation may not have enabled meaningful participation. While the proposals were prepared through the normal internal review processes, the legal advice obtained after submissions has highlighted that the level of detail provided in consultation may not have been sufficient to support increases of this scale. Third is the timing and sequencing. We're effectively proposing price increases ahead of finalising the model that is meant to support those prices, and so that's created a disconnect. Fourth, practical delivery context. The charging model work has been impacted by operational pressures and resourcing constraints, meaning we are currently in a transitional position. Taking these together, legal advice highlights a real risk if council proceeds with the proposed increases. So the recommended approach contained in the report is do not adopt the proposed increases, apply the 3.1% CPI adjustment only, complete the new charging model, and undertake targeted engagement and formal consultation later in the year. This will allow us to reduce legal exposure, maintain a degree of cost recovery, ensure future charges are clearly supported by a compliant methodology, and come back with a robust, transparent and defensible charging framework. In summary, this is about taking a pragmatic and low-risk interim position while ensuring the long-term solution is done properly and is clearly aligned with both the bylaw and legislative requirements. Thank you. We're happy to take questions now.
Any questions, team? Councillor Crystal.
Just through the mayor, just something that the protein people talked about. They've built a brand new treatment plant and spent a significant amount of money. So when this does come back, will things like BOD and total suspended solids and stuff be part of the charging, or is it just volumetric? You know, if they are treating to a higher level, will that become part of our charging?
We're currently just looking at the volumetric charging, but we'll come back to you in a workshop in a month or so to explain why we're choosing that method. But that seems to be the best method.
And to add to John's comments, pre-treatment on site is more around compliance with the bylaw and the administration manual, whereas the charging is set on conveyance and treatment at the treatment plant.
Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I note in the report under 5.1, one of the disadvantages was that it maintains an existing funding gap in the short term. My question is, who picks up that funding gap? Does that now fall into general rates, or is that picked up somewhere else within the Three Waters accounts?
That'll be picked up in the general rates, and the finance team can speak in more detail about that.
That's all right. I don't need more detail. I just need a confirmation as to where the cost would fall.
Okay. Any further questions? No. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Price, Councillor Mawson. Councillor Price, do you wish to speak to this?
I just think we're all a bit concerned, and that was like music to my ears, what you read out this morning. I think it's definitely the right approach, and we will sort it out at a later date. Thank you.
Councillor Mawson.
Yeah, just to acknowledge staff on doing the right thing, and also just our submitters for coming forward. I mean, these are major employers that have in Napier that have come forward to give us their views. So thanks to all.
Do we have any other speakers for or against the motion? Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Yeah, just through your wish, I'm speaking in support of the new resolution, and it's just good to see that we've had mentioned a couple of times in the last day and a half not following the correct methodology when setting new rates or charges. So great to see that you've acknowledged that and that it will be corrected moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah. Any further speakers? Mover's right of reply.
It's all been said then.
It's all been, right.
Thank you.
All right. Hold on. I will now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
So we're now going to move to agenda item 3, introduction of tankard water charges report on page 76 of your agenda. The presenters for this are Marcia and Stephen, and John. John, that's not Stephen. Right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship and councillors. So I'll take the report as read, but I'll summarise the key points. Excuse me. So we are recommending the introduction of a volumetric charge for bulk water taken from our dedicated water take station at Thames Street. This will be $1 per cubic metre and from 1st of July. Currently, water is available from this site at no cost beyond a small fee for a permit or a card to enable access. It is primarily used for commercial purposes. So to inform this proposal, we undertook a targeted consultation with known users of the facility, so people that have registered. We received 2 responses, both of which were supportive in nature and actually recommended another water take. Their suggestions were focused on the implementation and fairness, and rather than opposition of the charge. So the proposed approach aligns with a user pays principle. It ensures that the cost of providing this service is appropriately borne by those who are using it rather than by general ratepayers. The introduction of the charge will enable us to recover the ongoing maintenance and operational costs for the infrastructure. It will enable us to support the administration of this charge and improve accountability for the metered usage. We do think that this is a pragmatic and proportionate step. It will allow, it's low in significance in our view, and it supports a sustainable and fair service delivery. So therefore we recommend that Council approve the introduction of this volumetric charge. Thank you. Happy to take questions.
Right. Councillor Price.
Do we have any other depots where you can get bulk water from, please?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it?
Do we have any other depots or locations where people can get bulk water from?
This is the one dedicated spot in Napier. There is 1 or 2, I believe, in Hastings.
The fire hydrants, does people take water from fire hydrants? Or is that an old?
That is an old, that was superseded by this dedicated take to enable us to keep to our drinking water rules.
Thank you.
Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Marcia. Fully agree that user pays in this situation. The $1 charge for the cubic metre of water, does that fully recover the cost of supplying of water and the plant costs as well? Does it fully cover it?
It covers the operational cost. Over time, it will recover the capital cost that we invested in the infrastructure, but it does overall cover the cost, yes.
That's great, thanks.
Councillor Brownlee.
Through the Mayor. How will you, you get the recovery cost, but it's actually billing it out and getting it in. Is there an automated system that does that? Because $1 per cubic metre, by what I understand, is about 1,000 litres. So, you know what I mean, on a 15,000 litre tanker, it's $15. So is there a automated way of actually getting that revenue back?
It's somewhat automated. We have a control system that records the volumes that people use, and we'll take that to go straight to our billing team. So it's somewhat automated, yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? No. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Crystal and Councillor Price. Councillor Crystal, do you wish to speak to this?
This just seems a really sensible move forward for user pays in a world where that's we're moving into. So it's kind of a no-brainer, really. So, yeah, well done, guys.
Thank you.
It's well done. I think our ratepayers will be pleased to hear that there's no free water out there for people that need it. So well done. And sorry about thinking that you could get it from other places.
I'm thinking the water's free, the service isn't. Let's clarify that.
You know what I mean?
Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, speaking for, and I see the need to ensure that we are actually doing full cost recovery. I don't believe that $1 per 1,000 litres is actually a full cost recovery. So at the moment, I think it's a case of inducing people to start using the service, and over time we can then do a full cost recovery. But this is significant because this is about our urban water network security. When water conveyors used to tap into the water mains through the hydrant system, they actually introduced a risk to our water safety. by taking this move that it significantly improves our water safety. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's 3 speakers for. Would anyone like to speak against? Movers, right, a reply?
All been said.
Not you. Easy to get confused. Right. I will now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
What I mean by that is you get a 10,000 litre tanker pull up your drive. When I was in 80
Right, how are we going to do this bit? Do we hit mover and get it on the floor, but indicate we take them set
You're making a lot of money out of it.
You can do that.
Yeah.
It's to the social.
Well, we need to, because we don't know what we've got on there, do we?
A higher water meter rate.
How do we do it?
Supplying their homes.
That's a shock.
Or do we have to put it on the floor first before we do it, or do we take them individually first up?
I would take them.
And if you bike out there on their training night,
Yep, I think we will, eh? So, right, team, we'll head back to our first agenda item, which is our annual plan part of it, or this next part of it. Now, I want to break it up and do it slightly differently, because we do have different options we may wish to put on here other than what the officer's recommendations were. So I think if we just head straight down to, and correct me if I'm wrong, governance team, a change to how we recover transportation costs. Would somebody like to?
Need to do AMB.
Sorry. Yeah. The problem with that is we need a mover, and once it's moved it, the whole thing's on the table, I guess. I don't know. I'll take advice. Yeah. All right. Right. We'll head back to how we wish to recover our transportation costs. Right. The current option that you have in front of you, or the recommendation, is option 1, transport targeted rate capital value, remove transportation costs for the general rate and recover them through a new targeted rate based on each property's capital value to more accurately reflect the benefit a property receives from local services and infrastructure. Would somebody like to move that? I guess what we're doing is we're choosing what's going to end up in our last, in our final decision. So,
Are you looking for a mover?
yes, a move.
Mayor McGrath.
Yes. So, Councillor Crown. Everyone's rushing their hand up now, and Councillor Simpson. Right. Do you wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right, thank you.
Right. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, further to the commentary passed earlier, this reflects users, how do we call it, the cost of maintaining our roading network against the users. And it's fair to indicate that people with factories or industry or small commercial activities are more likely to need the likes of trucks and buses or whatever it may be to carry their goods across our roading network. Their turning circles are considerably harsher than the average motor vehicle. So by transitioning to a capital value rating base for our roading network, I think this is a prudent move.
All right. Do we have any further speakers for or against this? Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Yes, I support this option, and the discussion previous has outlined it, but it's more transparent. It removes the situation of a vacant section of land only having to pay the same as the neighbouring property whose land value is the same, and it takes into account the improvements on that land, and so the capital value is more transparent and it's more fair and equitable.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Right of reply, well, right of first call.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Yeah, I agree with the points already made, but I think further to that, I just wanted to reiterate that the transportation network is not a private good. Every single ratepayer in Napier benefits from it, whether you drive on it daily, whether your goods are delivered across it, or whether your property value is supported by access to it. I live at the top of a road which we maintain ourselves. I don't log that as a conflict, but the Local Government Act does not require us to charge each person exactly what they use. It asks us to determine a basis for sharing costs across the community. And we've heard that the concern that is high value properties don't necessarily use the network more. And that might be a fair observation in some cases, but rates are not user charges. We have fees and charges for that, or we have other ways of charging if they are. Rates are a form of taxation used to fund services that benefit the community broadly. And capital value is one of the most commonly used bases in New Zealand precisely because it provides a reasonable, balanced reflection of the benefit without requiring us to meter every single trip, which is just impossible. So to me, this makes the most sense.
Right, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Councillor Lawrence. Look, the motion is carried. This will come back to us when we do the final sign-off. So at least this will be the preferred option on it to some degree. So,
sorry, just for clarification, do you mean the final sign-off when the annual plan comes to a future meeting?
no, today this will end up back.
No.
No. This is just signed off as this? Okay, cool. Right, with me now. Yes.
Done A, B, and C, and
It brings double debate
That's
to a
right.
whole new scale.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
say you're taking
Don't think anyone would change that.
Yep, no, that's right. We can come back to that anyway because we can't adopt it till we know what's in there. So, right, moving along.
Actually, it would be fun.
CCTV on the who should pay. Now,
Right.
Deputy Mayor has indicated he might wish to nominate one of the options.
Thank you, Your Worship. In our paper, we have been provided with 3 options, and I'd like to move option 3, which is fully fund the cost of inner-city CCTV monitoring from the general rate. The annual impact on general rates is 0.22%, or on an average $8.24 per residential property. And the reason that I support this and have moved this is that...
Just really looking. No, carry on. Actually, I'll hear this.
Happy to move that.
Yeah, happy to move that. Right, I'm happy to second that one from the chair. Deputy Mayor Taylor, would you like to speak to it?
Thank you, Your Worship. And the reason I have moved that is that I think that the CCTV coverage is basically a benefit for the whole city, and it's obviously something that we need to perhaps invest more in after our discussions today, invest more into the future. And the reason is, and I go back to some of our strategic outcomes, is that we want to sell ourselves as a tourism location. The best thing is to be able to sell ourselves as a safe city, and tourists would like to see that. So any incident of crime or assault, murders, whatever might happen in the CBD or in the future other parts of Napier will degrade our reputation as a safe city. So I think the benefit is for all of us. It's for all residents right across the city that we can provide a safe city, or the safest city possible. And this is one tool, mechanism, lever that we can pull to ensure that there's a prevention side to crime, but there's also a side where criminals can be apprehended. So I think for that reason, I'm happy to support that the cost is spread across all ratepayers.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to reiterate that. When we've done our community surveys in the past, safety was always high on that level of when we ask them. Police can't do it alone. They've indicated that, and any help they can get would be a benefit. I struggle to leave it just for the CBD people to pay. All our residents use the CBD. We're also monitoring cameras potentially outside that zone, and I'd certainly encourage us to, if we have the cameras, let's use what we've got, and perhaps a conversation as we head further with the LTP of how we can actually do it better. So, do I have any other speakers? Now, we seem to have lots, so we'll see how this... Sorry, Councillor Morley.
Yes, I speak in support of Councillor Taylor's proposal. CCTV is a benefit to all of the community, regardless if you're coming to town or not. It benefits everybody. I think it's unfair and disproportionate to lump the majority of the costs onto our CBD shop owners. They have already invested significantly in their own CCTV systems as part of their insurance requirements. It would be great to be able to piggyback on their systems and their monitoring. So charging CCTV over the entire community is the best way to go. So I support the motion.
Thank you. Now, because we have a lot of speakers, I'm just going to suspend Standing Order 21.6, which limits the number of speakers. So if we have, it's because we have had 3 speak for it. So anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Price?
I'd just like to speak in favour of it, obviously. One thing from my previous experience, people of interest or criminals don't just hang around town, they hang around the whole city and they all interlink, and I'm in favour of us growing this. It's a worldwide method of identifying suspected persons in your city, and as Deputy Mayor Taylor said, we portray to be a tourist town. We want to make sure that we're safe and encourage safety throughout the whole city. So grow the fund, grow the cameras is my...
Councillor Simpson, then Councillor Brownlee.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, I speak in support, and the reason I speak in support is it's pragmatic. And the reason I say that is we only have 3 commercial zoned areas in our city. So what happens when suddenly we put cameras in Taradale? Do we have to have the same debate? When we put cameras over here in Ahuri, do we have to have another debate? If we want to put cameras in Maraenui where there's no CBD zone, we would have to have a new debate or introduce a new rating zone. So I think it's pragmatic and it's simple and it saves time and effort going forward to demonstrate that to choose recommendation 3 is the simplest, strategic and sustainable method of ensuring that proper CCTV coverage is rolled out throughout our entire city.
Councillor Brownlee.
Yeah, through the Mayor, I support the option 3, and in these economic times, I think it's a very good decision by the council, this one, to support it. Thank you.
Any further speakers for or against? No. Right, a reply?
No, necessary.
Right. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 3, transition the rural residential differential to 0.95 and direct officers to review moving the differential to 1.0 through the 2027-37 long-term plan process. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Crown. Do I have a seconder?
So to retain it at the current level, correct?
To retain it at the current level as the officer's recommendation.
No.
It's currently
It was 0.9.
Oh, sorry, 0.9. Oh, sorry.
The officer's recommendation was 0.95.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've
That's
got
right.
it as retain the current rural residential differential and direct officers to review moving the differential to 1.
Sorry, I'll just refer back this way.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. There's
The option.
That's the recommendations here, isn't it?
Yes, it's
Okay.
right.
Okay. So, yeah. So the
Oh, no. Yeah, I've just said retain the current.
So what I'll do here is I'll call for the officer's recommendation and see if if it gets moved or seconded. If it doesn't, then we will come up with a different recommendation.
Sure.
So as I said before, transition to rural residential differential. Do I have a mover and a seconder? No. Do I have anyone who would like to propose? I might choose Councillor Crown for this one, but absolutely understand that hand going up very quickly.
Thank you.
Do I have a seconder?
We don't know
Oh.
what my recommendation
Oh, true. True.
So through the chair, my offering is to retain the current rural residential differential and direct officers to review moving the differential to 1.0 through the 27-37 long-term plan process.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mawson. All right. Do you wish to speak?
Yeah,
Motion.
yeah, sure. Thank you.
Do we have a copy of that?
Thank you.
You carry on.
Yep. I want to acknowledge first and foremost the submitters that took the time to feed back to us and those that came and presented in person. I think you have to be a pretty unfeeling human being to not be moved by some of the words and some of the situations and things that were presented to us. Throughout. And I want to acknowledge as well our community being organised. I think being organised and coming together the way that specific parts of our residents did, Esk Hills, Jervois Town, etc. Being organised makes a difference, and they made their points really, really clear. I want us to maintain the current differential structure and not progress anything further at this point, because even though we're in a reform environment and changes potentially coming towards local government are going to happen, there are two things that stand out to me the most with this, and that's the quality of the information underpinning the proposal and the level of misunderstanding that resulted from it. We heard repeatedly through the submissions that people did not clearly understand what they were being charged for, how the methodology worked, or what modelling sat underneath the proposal, and that tells me that the case for change just hasn't been adequately made. I think I said that earlier as well. The second point is that when Council signalled this direction in 2021, it was alongside an anticipated shift from land value towards capital value. And if we're not going to go the whole hog, it just doesn't seem right to me at this stage. I've said earlier that rates are they're not a user charge, but it's pretty hard to ignore the fact that footpaths, street lights, etc., that they don't have the same level of service. And again, it's about how we explain rates to our community. So I think the most prudent thing for us to do at this stage is just to leave the differential as it is. And again, just acknowledge the work and the organisation that went in from our residents to clearly state their positions and to allow us to, I guess, examine the way that we are communicating with them in the future too.
Thank you. A question, certainly.
Is there, and Councillor Crown might be able to, is there some way we can put a provision into our reporting? We talked about our invoicing or the
rates notice.
Rates notice, how we could put something in that it's consistent, the same for every property, and would have a zero if you're not paying for water?
My suggestion, could we take that as an action or something in the next part of our discussion, as things that have fallen out of the submission?
I just wanted to get it.
As opposed to in the...
In this part.
No, that sounds good. Now, Councillor Mawson, you seconded it?
I did.
Would you wish to speak to it?
I was well articulated by Councillor Crown, and just to echo some of the comments that made earlier by Councillor Simpson as well along those lines.
Yep. Any further speakers? Councillor Simpson.
Can I please seek some clarification on the resolution or the motion?
Yep, absolutely.
See the motion on the screen, because my interpretation of what I heard was, let's not do it now.
Yes.
But let's do it in a couple of years' time, which all we're doing is saying no now because we've had some submissions, but we're going to do it anyway later on.
I guess my reasoning around that was the misunderstanding and the opportunity that we have to communicate more clearly to our community. If that's not required, then that part's not required. But they may live rurally, but they are residential in nature rather than commercial or industrial.
I guess the way it's written, it doesn't overcommit us to anything because it's asking to review. Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I'm going to speak in support of this resolution, but I'll just add to it that the word review, moving the differential to 1 through the 2027-37 long-term plan, I think that review will include the fact that local government reform may well and truly remove all water services from our rating structure.
Yep.
Because in 2027, we will have the water entity set up that will look after that. So that review that takes place will look at how rates are set in the future, and so the water component of that may well be removed. So I think as it is at the present time, we're retaining the same status quo at that level, and the review moving forward will identify things that will no longer be rateable by Napier City Council should we end up in some unitary authority. And as we've heard today, unitary authorities use capital value, and so there's going to be a lot of change.
Yep. Right. Who else had their hand up to speak? Councillor Crystal.
I am speaking for it. And I just want to reiterate what Councillor Crown said, but rural residential people are different. They're not residential. They have a whole lot of different pros and cons that come with owning a rural piece of land. And I think our community spoke quite loudly to us, and I think that's a really important part of being a councillor is to listen to your community. So I support.
Any further speakers for or against? Right, a reply? Right, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Yeah.
Right, do we have any tricky ones in this one?
No, revenue policies.
George, you've made them taking it.
Right. Perhaps we'll...
Done the financing.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't say
Have we done the financing policy?
No.
To go revenue finance.
Yep, we'll run through that one. The revenue and financing policy, direct officers to incorporate any changes to the draft revenue and financing policy. Do I have a mover and a seconder for that one? Councillor Crown. Councillor Crystal, do you wish to speak to this one?
Just very quickly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things, this is a common theme and a recurring theme for us, is trying to explain what we do, how much it costs, etc. Our revenue and financing policy may seem like a very dry document, but it outlines all the activities that we deliver with the money that we collect via rates. So, I have told some of our residents, have a look at the revenue and financing policy so you can get an idea of the number of activities that we have. And that often leads to a really interesting conversation about why do you do all these things? Well, once it's in your basket, to get it out of it is actually really difficult. It triggers a significance and engagement policy, and you have to go through a consultation. There's a big process behind things, but it gives people a sense of understanding of the things that we are responsible for delivering for our community at this time. So thanks to the team for the work and the updates on it as well.
Cool. Seconder wish to speak to this?
Totally agree. It's probably one of our most important policies that we have, and just as long as the War Memorial votes are changed.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Absolutely. We'll put that in big letters.
That saves me speaking, right?
Yeah, right. Any more speakers for or against this? Right or reply? No. I will now move the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Part 5, fees and charges for the 26-27. Do I have a mover and a seconder for our fees and charges?
I just, so the resolution as it stands, includes a statement noting any changes to trade waste fees and charges will be considered under a separate. So we've already considered that, so maybe that line would be deleted. So the resolution be adopt the attached schedule of fees and charges, blah, 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 end of.
Carolyn?
Yeah, there weren't any changes to the trade waste, so yeah.
No, so that's all, everyone seems happy with that. So that's obviously a slight change to what we've got. So can I have a seconder?
Or did I have a mover?
A mover?
I'm happy to move.
Yeah. A seconder for this. Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak to our fees and charges?
Fees and charges is always a difficult one, but, a lot of thought goes into it. We try to recover costs where we possibly can, and I just, congratulate the officers that have worked through this again year on year to have the appropriate fees and charges for the services that we do charge for. So happy to do that.
Seconder?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. The reality is nothing comes for free, and when you want to use a service, you need to pay for it. Sadly, in our case, there are costs increase as in delivering services, so we have to increase our costs and pass those on. So unfortunately, this is one of those policies that we can never please anybody, but hopefully they can understand our need to recover the cost to reduce the impact on rates.
No. Any further speakers for or against? Right or reply?
No, not necessary.
Not necessary. Right, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now we're going to come, we'll do item, we might as well just carry on as we are here. Yep. Item D, approves increasing the 2026-27 capital funding for the animal shelter from 3.85 million to 5.35 million. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Right. Would anyone wish to propose a different option? Would anyone like to propose that it stays as is?
I'll reluctantly move it.
As it is, for the rise to 5.35 million? Do I have a seconder? Not at this stage.
Yep.
Okay. Councillor Crown.
Point of clarification, what was the motion?
Approves the increasing the 26-27 capital funding for the animal shelter from 3.85 million to 5.35 million. We have a mover and a seconder. So would the mover wish to speak to this?
Yeah, look, there's quite a diverse table here, but I don't think anyone here is actually a designer or a builder. We've been told that this is what it's worth, and it's all about animal welfare. And as I say, I reluctantly move it because it is an increased cost, but the reality is we do want a building that we don't have to rebuild in an extra 10, 15 years because it's not fit for purpose. So we've been told it's due to extra bits and pieces that make the building worthy. And again, we were told it was also a cap, doesn't necessarily have to be spent. So hopefully we can get there's a few tenders out there that are willing to take it up and provide us with, or provide staff with options. And yeah, so it is what it is.
Councillor Crown, as the seconder, do you wish to speak to this?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that most of us have a level of uncomfortability about the cost. But the Palmy example that I gave before, sort of shifted me. But also I think it's the old tension around how much the things cost that council does compared to a household. It's very different. We're paying for pipes and roads and concrete and heavy construction, insurance, which they know themselves has gone up hugely, and specialist labour and expert advice and design, etc. Those things are always more expensive than your groceries, ironically, at the moment. Your whiteware and the things that you buy in your household. It's just the nature of doing business as a council. And so whilst it feels uncomfortable because our community don't quite understand that sometimes. But yeah, to Councillor Mawson's point, we need a fit-for-purpose building. It's got the whole of life consideration attached to it, and so it feels like one of those it is what it is moments.
Deputy Mayor Taylor?
Yeah, reluctantly I will support this. I think there's a lot of factors that we need to take into consideration. I think the first is that this is purely a cap, and I hope that those involved with the management of this particular project take that as a very important part, that it's a cap. We know that the current global tensions and things that are happening are putting costs up, so those things we will end up having to absorb. And I think we should take a learning from the aquatic centre, in that water and chemicals on a daily basis do damage and degrade the walls of a building. And I'm sure that our staff and all of you who have had the opportunity to inspect the aquatic centre and the remediation that's had to take place, the design of this should alleviate that problem. And as has been enunciated, we have a building that should last, and we won't be looking to replace it anytime soon, or have to rip wall linings off and replace them because of water being used on a daily basis to clean the place and chemicals. So let's just take a learning from what we've done in the past that has ended up costing us quite a considerable amount of money. So although we don't want to be spending $5 million at this point, I think it's unfortunately a need. Thank you.
Question of clarification. The 5.5 is in the 8.8 rates rise that we're looking at. It's the full amounts in there. Thank you.
Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Morley.
I speak against the motion. had a bit of feedback from residents with the initial 3.85 million, thinking that was way over the top. This isn't going to go down. It's going to be like a bucket of sick. I believe we should revisit the design and try and fit within the original budget. It sounds like a gold-plated version of a doggy centre. Now, I agree that we need to do something with the animal shelter at the moment, because it's quite a depressing sight to actually wander through there and see what's going on. But I think we could actually value engineer better in this situation. I don't know about the design. Perhaps it could be shipping containers, which would be a far better future-proof solution, considering that in 2 or 3 years we may have a regional animal centre, and anything that we build now may become redundant. So I speak against that.
Become the regional one.
I speak against that, against the motion.
Right. Do you have a question, or?
No, I want to speak in favour.
Go on then.
And very reluctantly, because of the cost, but it has been built into what we've told people. I'd hate to go to shipping containers. And I'm a great believer, do it once, do it properly. And this is the case. We can sit here as 12 engineers and come up and say, this is how you do it and that's how you do it. We've had the experts tell us how we should do it. To do a proper dog animal control, it's not going to get any easier to look after animals than what it is now. It's a pretty hot topic, and so I'm a favourite. I hate spending the money, but let's do it once and let's do it properly.
Councillor Isaac Charlin.
Through the chair, I am also reluctantly in favour, but after listening to, more so for me, the pros, knowing that this might not be the full amount that they use, gives me a little bit more confidence to support the vote going ahead.
Right, now I'm actually going to speak to this one. I'm going to speak against also. With all respect for our team and what they do down there, these guys are working out of a dirty old Skyline garage, and what they've got does not comply. And that's not in doubt. And I know how hard those guys work in the community for us, and I'm not taking any of that away. My concern is that the number difference is, I think, 39% from 3.85 to 5.35 million. That is a concern for me. I do realise it is a specialist area, but in Hawke's Bay, we're actually used to building buildings that deal with chemicals and water, whether it be some of our meat works and perhaps some of our cool stores. They're all used to doing it. It's not, it's not rocket science for Hawke's Bay. But I do have a concern with that number. It is a big number change, and we have no certainty that it won't perhaps go above that with all the changes we've got. So I guess I'm speaking against it because I'd like a little bit of tension in our organisation over this one, that we don't just sit around here and go, yep, that's the number, and we accept it. I think there needs to be a little bit of tension with this one for our community, and that we put that tension over this activity, and into the future we might just work out how we do that as a table. We don't have to do that today, but I think there's going to need just to be a little bit of oversight here for our community, that this change in number for them is getting looked at. All right, mover's right of reply if there is no more speakers. Oh, sorry, Councillor Brownlee.
Yeah, I'll speak against the option as well. I believe it's a process matter that we've gone through from last year, that we've actually got to do a better job than we've done on this by everybody. And I think we need to keep it at what it is, what the original estimate was, so that we understand that we make these mistakes, but we've got to live with them, because we're just being able to put it up willy-nilly. So, yeah. Thanks.
Right. Any further speakers? Right of reply for the mover?
Yeah, just sort of, I note the concerns for the people that voted against. For me, it was mentioned by, I believe, Councillor Taylor that costs have gone up dramatically. And even just in the recent times, if you filled up your car, that's gone up too. And those costs have to be absorbed by businesses. And thus, when we go to do these buildings, this sort of cost has to be absorbed by us, unfortunately. Again, just echoing the fact I am quite, I'm happier that it's considered a cap. So hopefully staff will look into those things and try and see what we can do through the tender process.
Right, that has been good debate, team. Right, I will now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've recorded that you're happy there. Right. Yep, just raise your hand if you're against there. That's probably easiest.
Oh, Takira put hers up too.
Yep. Right, the motion is carried. Thank you. Again, like I say, very good debate, team. Well done. Now, we're just going to move into our last bit now. What I'm looking to do is move Part A, B and C, which are right at the start there, and also Part E and F, all together. So can I have just have a quick flick through that. So it's receives the report, receives all submissions. Have we done it by default?
We haven't done
Adopts the following recommendations. Feedback received during consultation process for the annual plan. Oh, so all right, we'll take that back. A and B, and E and F.
What are we on?
Right. So it's receives the report, receives all submissions, receives the petition from Maxine on behalf of Tū Tangata Marae Nui Trust, and directs officers to prepare the final annual plan, which will come back to us the 25th of June. Do I have a mover and a seconder for that, please?
Just clarification, but point D has just been passed?
Yes, the animal shelter.
It should be A, B, E and F.
E. I've got B, E and F, right.
Everything else has been done.
Everything else should have been done, including D, which was the animal control.
Oh, okay.
Or animal shelter.
Yep.
Yep. Getting a few nods. Do I get a mover and a seconder?
I'm happy to move.
Yeah, and I'll move, and I'll second that. Would you wish to speak to this?
Can we have that up on the screen
Yep.
again?
Please.
A, B, E and F.
I'm happy to move those resolutions. We have received the submissions. We have heard the people who elected the option to speak to their submission, and I'm sure councillors enjoyed the hours of reading for all the other submissions that we received. The consultation document, we received that along with the relevant officers' comments, which gave us good background to move these things forward. I thank Maxine on behalf of Tū Tangata Marae Nui for the support of the Tipahinga Community Hub. A long history. Maxine has fought for that as long as I can remember, coming on to council, and there's a lot of support obviously for that in that community, and now is our role where we can direct officers to prepare the final annual plan in anticipation that we can adopt that annual plan on the 25th of June. So I'm happy to move that.
Excellent. I've got nothing I wish to say at this stage. Does anyone else wish to speak to the motion or against? No. Right. I will now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? carried. Right, we might just take a short recess and we'll come back in a few minutes and we'll move from there.
That's for the topics that weren't listed.
Yep, we'll come back for the topics that weren't listed, and then we also have a minor matter that needs discussing. But Right, I'm just going to reconvene our meeting from this morning and also carrying on from yesterday with regards to our annual plan. We're now going to go through topics raised by submitters that were not for formal consultation. So our first one is submission number 47, Ahuriri Estuary Protection Society, and the request funding to clear the estuary of pollution, mainly resulting around the issue with the tyre wall. Now, I will note that there is an officer's comment on here that I think it's page 17, that it is on the list for our team to look at and review.
Okay. You need to update your...
Does anyone have any comments or opinions with regards? Councillor Crown?
So thank you through the chair. So the comment is that it's to be reviewed. I wonder, does it currently feature in a work program? I mean, this is something that I know they have raised with us previously. Has it been reviewed before? I'm just trying to understand and provide the submitters with an accurate sort of piece of information for them to work with.
Yeah, I guess from my point of view, in the past when it was brought up many years ago, we were given the indication that it wasn't an issue.
Right.
But we've had some differing views over the last day or so. So I think it's just fair that it maybe our reserves team give it a fresh look.
Okay.
So I don't know if this helps, through the chair, I mean, I'm only interpreting officers' comments, but I would suggest that it isn't currently a project, but they are considering whether it could be a future project, and that there is actually currently a process in Humber Street Reserve where there will be community consultation, and I would assume this group will be reached out to as part of that.
Councillor Simpson?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. Just wonder then whether we should enhance our position on this and simply ask officers to provide a report back to council without going into a project, but just report back to council on the condition of the tyres and possible remedy, which then gives us a head start, and that can then through that reporting, the officers can inform us as to what size and scale of project and cost might be associated.
I concur with that that approach, because I think it is an issue. It's not something that we currently have planned in this annual plan, but if that process is followed and we know the scope of a future project and the possible cost to remediate this problem, then it could be included in the long-term plan.
Yep, and they can all...
I think that's our way forward.
Yep.
So, Councillor Simpson, let's just check on those words. I like how they're a lot more, they were quite direct.
Instruct officers to provide council a report on the current condition of the tyres and the risks of their degraded state, and report back to council on what size and scale, on what options would be available around projects to mitigate or remove the tyres.
As part of the LTP?
Yep, thank you.
Everyone happy where we've landed? Yep, good words there, Councillor Simpson.
Yep. Your people can talk to my people.
Yeah. Submission 155, Lewis Willoughby, with regards to the Onslow steps.
That's been coming back to us in a...
So through the chair, there's a officer comment in relation to that, and that staff are currently working together on options, and that's coming back through a councillor workshop in the next 6 months.
Councillor Price.
Comment, and I totally agree with that, but what concerns me is the state it's in at the moment.
Exactly.
and whether it's safe, that's all.
Right, can we also direct officers to make the area safe
Yeah. Yep.
in between times?
Yep.
Well, they can decide what makes safe. Yeah, let's not over prescribe. Everyone happy there? Submission 235 and potentially 270, Lynn Anderson, Save the Dotterels, Forest and Bird. Was there an officer's comment? On that one?
Page 26.
Page 26. What's in that comment? Have you got that one open? I'm putting these on you now, I've decided.
So in relation to, on page 26, Council acknowledges concerns raised regarding the fires along the beaches and potential impacts. Reinstatement of the fire control bylaw is not recommended, but legislative changes have significantly altered the regulatory framework for fire control, with primary responsibility for fire management enforcement now sitting with FENS. In addition, the areas where Napier City Council is able to regulate and enforce controls are limited. NCC utilises the powers under our Parks and Reserves Bylaw and Health Act where necessary. FENS control the permitting of fires. HBRC control the beach area up to the point where the shingle meets the grass, and at which point it is considered Council's Parks and Reserves area.
Councillor Price?
From my last meeting, she presented, and there is a paper being investigated in that area already, I believe.
Yes. So just noting that there's already some work underway.
Yes, so sorry, there's a second comment for the second part of that submission which relates to that work, and that's our working collaboratively with HBRC FENS, Mana Whenua, Ngāti Kanunu representatives and community stakeholders, and that specifically is in relation to Matariki.
Yep.
Just Matariki? So sorry.
Sorry. It's in your pack on page 34 rather than read the whole comments.
So what about Guy Fawkes? Because that actually seems to be the worst one than Matariki, because that's the breeding season.
Yeah, that's the second part of that around. We're going to have a programme of proactive public communications ahead of this event and a general raising awareness of ways that the public can minimise impacts, and the work's ongoing. So I think that whatever learnings we have from this, we could roll out. I think you had asked council officers in previous workshops or meetings to look at what we could do proactively.
And what about the suggestion of some specific areas with the kind of more permanent roped off areas that they had, that you see at Mount Wanganui on the beaches, to rope off their dunes and stuff? It is done in other places. Is that something that we can work through, or maybe it can be a community project of some sort, or we work with them?
So,
maybe to respond to that one, I understand that they were going to put a formal submission through to us around that one, and our open spaces team alongside others in council will look at that and see what we can do and support.
Yeah, because the temporary fences they do just don't do anything.
No, people walk
through. No, people just walk straight through them.
Yeah.
Councillor Brownlee?
Louise, how does it go with, you mentioned the regional council, what responsibilities do they have in there? That was sort of something that came to mind at the time, is because they have the beach, don't they, up to high water mark, is that right?
Yeah.
And then we're responsible for the other. How does that fit into the whole?
So I think, as the comments have said, we work closely with them, but obviously respecting each other's constraints. But we are actively working with them throughout the year as well.
And just to complicate the matter more, Councillor Brownlee, I think DOC have some land also in between all of this. So there's a lot of players in it. But I think if there's already action being taken, there's not a lot we can really add to it here. Right, so we'll move on to 318, Maxine Bogue to Tangata Marae Nui Trust, Te Pahinga. where are we going to head here?
Being included, engage them.
That the Trust would like to contribute to the Napier City Council Halls review. I think that's a good idea.
So just through the chair, I think that Thuna spoke earlier about that. Our challenge is that the halls reviews is about existing and current assets. This asset does not exist, so wouldn't fit within the scope.
Team, what's your thinking on where do we head with this? I think we have to do, the communities come to us, so in some shape or form we have to reply or work with them. I think it might be to, at some stage, we may have to set some direction here to give our officers, so our officers can go away and speak to Maxine and her team with regards to this. Is there anything we want to put in here today? Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Could I suggest that we have a small working group, perhaps of ward councillors for that particular area, to meet with the Trust and look at alternative buildings that may already exist within the immediate area around the Maraenui Centre that could perhaps be adapted in the future. So rather than going through building another building, as we've discussed quite a lot, that we take an existing building that could currently be on Napier City Council land and adapt that so that it could be utilised as a community hub. And if it's got the land around it, that would provide for the components of the community hub that they are looking to build. So I think work with the Trust and see if there is alternative buildings within the immediate precinct that may be able to be modified or utilised rather than build another building and then have the ongoing maintenance and all the issues that go with that. So I feel confident that there may be a building within a reasonable proximity that could be utilised.
So that in one sentence or less?
Work with the Trust to identify an alternative building rather than a new build.
Yep, with elected members involved. Sorry, Council. Establish a working group. Yep. Councillor Simpson and
yes,
Councillor Crown.
I concur with Councillor Taylor's view on that. I think we should also be somewhat pragmatic and honest. I think the reality is, I don't think there was, sorry, I shouldn't speak for the table, but it would be highly unlikely that we would proceed with the plan as it stood at the cost that was presented to us previously. So I think we should be pragmatic and clear that the option presented by Councillor Taylor should replace put the Tipa Hangar back on the LTP. So I think we'd be deluding the community if they thought that put the Tipa Hangar back on the 2027-37 LTP was an option. We'd be deluding them or being not honest with them about the likely course of directions. The other issue with leaving that statement in there as part of the activity is staff would then have to start spending time and effort looking at that project, the feasibility and what would be put into the LTP. We were asking staff to cut back and be prudent on how they spend their time. I think this is the time this table has to step up and say to staff, look, don't spend any more time on what was the previous plan. Let's now look for other options around how we can satisfy the need of the community. So my suggestion would be that we do not indicate that we'll be putting the Tipa Hangar back into the LTP because I think that would be dishonest.
Yep, happy to. Councillor Crown. Councillor Morley.
Yeah, I support the two previous speakers, especially in the light that one of the reasons that this was removed from the previous LTP was that the actual community rejected the design as it was.
Yep, thank you. So we've got a way forward there.
Yeah.
Karen, you happy? Right, everyone. Oh, everyone's queuing up.
No, you go, Shy.
Guy first.
I was going to say what I was going to say.
Sorry, Councillor Raihania.
Yeah, just wanting to, it's just a comment, just around, obviously there's real community energy there, and we saw that yesterday and with the accepting the petition. But I think what we need to learn as well, and it comes in regards to what you said, Councillor Simpson, around the council not managing expectations from the community very well. That's what I kind of undertook from kind of having to go back to understand how did we get here. And from there, I think we need to highly consider that, whether it's council comes up with guidelines for managing expectations and how communities engage with council in the future is really important. But also, on top of that, also, I think we need to look at how we can also channel the efforts productively from here.
Yeah. Councillor Crystal.
Just the ward councillors, have you had any engagement with them? Have they reached out to you?
Not this term.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So one of the things, we talked about the ward councillors, but also if there's going to be a group, I think our Māori ward councillors should be involved in that as well.
That was my intention, that they are councillors of the whole city.
Yeah.
Councillor Isaac Charlin.
This is, through the chair, this is just for clarity. So what I'm hearing is the removal of te pihinga in its current form with an adaptation of something else, but that's still related to that, the possibility of them receiving a hub, potentially. Okay, thank you. Just double checking.
But just for clarification, that if we, taking what Councillor Simpson has said, if we remove the current project from the long-term plan as it is, we've got a period of time where we can work with that, the trust and that community to identify perhaps an alternative project that could be included in the next LTP.
Thank you.
As it is.
So,
is it currently in?
No, it's not in there.
Yeah, so currently it's not in our LTP.
Oh, okay.
It's
so
not. So it's
back in.
that's not replacing because it doesn't technically exist in there. Yeah.
Sorry, I misworded that, but so it's not to go into the LTP as it, in it, like how they currently want it, but potentially an alternative is what I'm, okay. I'm good with that.
Submission 326 from Mark Cleary, Napier Ahuriri Homeless Shelter Society. There's an officer comment there on page 74 of the hearings document. And they're asking for a feasibility study for locker storage, accessible water in the CBD, showers and laundry, collaborate to develop a regional homeless strategy. So, is there a brief officer's comment?
Sorry, through the chair. Yeah, there isn't a brief comment. It's a very full response. I guess I would draw your attention just to the assessment side in terms of how the request fits with our current funding intent, and the second part of it, which parts could be advocated for in terms of the non-financial part.
So I guess for this one, just for me as direct officers to continue the conversation and working with this group.
Just one of the things that's, the government has allocated money for homeless shelters, but only to big cities, not to regions. And that's one of the big points that I think we need to advocate for is homelessness doesn't just happen in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch, and it's a big thing in our cities as well. So I think that is, I know when the Minister of Justice was here, that was spoken about, but I think that's the advocacy that we need to push, that it's not just a big city thing.
Absolutely, and happy to continue that.
So, through the chair, on page 75 and on to 76, officers have put forward a suggestion which includes the advocacy, investigating feasibility. There's, unfortunately, regarding the projects fund, it doesn't meet the criteria. And there's some further work on the other side around there's opportunities for other funds they may be able to consider, and that we'll continue to support them around sustainability options. So officers' suggestion is the option 1.
So I'll just go to Councillor Lawrence first and then Councillor Crown.
I have looked into that funding that went to the other areas. It was more along the lines of housing. And I think that this fits under more portfolios than just housing and homelessness. It's also mental health, whānau ora, Māori development, health and community. So I think that in addition to writing a letter of support, we write it to more than just Honorary Chris Bishop and Tama Pōtaka, that we also include Louise Upston, Matt Ducey, Simeon Brown, and cover those aspects of that shelter, because it's not only about an overnight, it's not a standard homeless shelter. They're keeping them busy during the day to keep them out of the CBD. There's a lot of mental health and addiction issues there that need to be addressed as well. And I think that there's a lot of different forms of funding that they could reach or could be found in support of it. And I think if we as a council advocate that in a letter, just going a bit deeper there.
Yep. Councillor Crown.
Thank you, through the chair. Because there is no financial impact on this, I just wanted to note that I am a member of the society, just for transparency. My understanding, whilst it's a lovely consideration to spread the advocacy wider from our organisation, my suggestion would be that we provide them with a letter outlining those points of the program as we see the benefits and the strengths of them being, and then that gives the society the ability to pass that on to the people that they want to at the right time. Otherwise, my fear would be that we're just sending it off into space with not a lot of context attached to it. So it's more about us providing the tools for the society to be able to advocate strongly with our support.
Almost like a written reference.
Almost like.
Yeah. Councillor Morley, then Deputy Mayor Taylor.
I'm just wondering, and the elected members may be able to fill me in on this. WIT is responsible for the funding of the shelter, I believe. I'm just wondering what facilities are actually available within the new WIT building, if they can provide the lockers and the showers and possibly the sleeping pods. If I can't be informed now, is it possible to have the officers actually have a look at if those facilities can be provided from within the WIT building?
Yeah, we'll take that one offline, I think.
Yeah, so sorry, through the chair, I think we just might need some clarity on what you're seeking from us.
Could I just ask, as Councillor Crown has declared that she is part of the organisation, can you advise me on what the legal status of the organisation is? Is it a charitable trust or incorporated society? What part does it fit into?
Yeah, the Napier Ahuriri Homeless Shelter Society is an incorporated society. So I'm a member. I'm not an executive member, so I don't sit on the I suppose the top tier governance structure. But yeah, I'm an active member, so I participate in their monthly meetings, etc. And they are a very active incorporated society.
Oh no, I don't doubt that. I just wondered what the legal status, because that can then indicate areas where funding can be pursued.
And they certainly do pursue them.
Thank you.
Right. I've got here submission 326 from Mark Cleary, no, same one. 308, Mark Cleary, Napier Pilot City Trust. It was more pretty much the same of supporting the homeless shelter there. So I think we've got that one covered. Sport Hawke's Bay.
246.
246, and there's an officer comment there on page 41. And request for enhanced investment for cycling support, funding for supporting active ageing through Active for Life. Do we currently provide funding to Sport Hawke's Bay? And is that through a 3-year partnership?
Yeah.
How many dollars a year? 45?
45.
Yep.
They didn't actually ask for a specific amount of money.
30.
Is it?
No,
That's Sports Park as opposed to Sport Hawke's Bay?
No, that's the sports park. No.
Yep.
No, they just kind of...
I'm the past chairman. I am no longer involved. I think the presentation was that they're in the 3-year agreement, which they acknowledged, and for that they provide a certain range of programs, and they outlined the cycling ones that they currently are paying or providing with that funding. Their submission was around further funding so that they could expand those programs to more schools in Napier and also to expand the Active for Life program. Elderly.
I guess from me, I think the best thing would be to refer them back to council officers to see if there's any other grants funding available. Anyone think any differently?
Question. So one of the things that I think we're all quite au fait with is that as we continue with central government reform and things, we're going to have to work much closer with partners in order to, I suppose, affect positive things in the community. And so I just want to get a sense of how closely we work with Sport Hawke's Bay at the moment. So I know that, they're a recipient of the 3-year partnership agreement funding, but on the ground at an officer level, how closely do we work with them at the moment to maximise, I suppose, that investment?
The councillors, we do, my team work very close with them. We are also part of the 2 regional strategies that's been done through through the Sport Hawke's Bay as well as Sport New Zealand. So the one is the aquatic strategy, and the other one is the open spaces and strategy as well. So we do work quite close with them on a regular basis. Yeah.
And so they would understand through conversations what grant funding, etc., is available via council already, do you think?
Yes, they should be, and at this point there's no other funding available under our grants.
So I question us then giving them the comment or the feedback to go back to council officers.
Is there a different comment other than continue to work with?
Well, I think through you, Mr Chair, they will be aware of when our funding processes occur, our funding cycles occur. So probably at this time, all we can suggest is that they identify when the next grant funding process that suits their classification becomes available, then they should apply.
Yep.
That's no guarantee that they'll get funding, but that is their opportunity if they want funding.
Could we just seek clarification of what the cycle is when the next round of those 3-year cycles?
Next year?
Yeah.
When the next cycle starts for 3-year funding?
It was done last year, so we've got 2 more years.
2 more years.
They could apply to the community initiative stuff.
New council.
There is the Community Initiative Fund, which they can apply to.
although it's totally oversubscribed. Yeah, I know.
We've got some direction there.
I think isn't the next community initiatives in October? Is it next October?
September, I think.
2028.
2028.
25, 26, 27.
27.
Oh, 28.
28. Getting near lunchtime, see? Council Maths is working.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
I think the opportunity here, again, is more about how we work in partnership. So I think it's about having a conversation with them about what support for Active for Life looks like and the cycling looks like, and see how it fits in with things that we already have planned, and whether we're able to leverage those things that we already have planned or not. That's the only thing that I think that realistically that's reflects the environment we're working in.
Give us the words for that, Councillor
I'm
Crown.
trying to find the words that we've got already, and I'm really struggling, sorry. Right. Acknowledge, note the programs from a strategic perspective. I guess it's a direct officers to have a conversation about current work programs and whether there is opportunity to leverage those in support of Active for Life and cycling support.
Ernest?
Councillors, I can assure you that we've had these discussions. We've also told them that what they need to do, as we do, is to review their programs and then look at the priorities and fund the priorities out of that money. So we can have another discussion, but yes, we are in close contact and we do discuss, and we are concerned about. We don't want our community to lose out. But yeah.
Right, moving on to 236 Glen Lucas Hawke's Bay Regional Sports Park Trust.
I declared an interest, so I'm actually going to leave the room so people don't feel by my presence.
Yeah, no going into that lunchroom though.
What's the calamari?
Yeah. Right, the request was for $30,000 for an operational contribution. I'm certainly not in support of a contribution of $30,000. I don't think we need to tighten our belts too. Councillor Crown.
I want to ask some questions before we get to that decision. I want to understand, if we were to do it, where would it come from? But also, do we fund any other similar facility with operational funding as well? Those are my two questions.
Councillors, the only other facility we fund it is the Pedigree Green, and that's also then co-funded through HDC. And
Do HDC fund the Sports Park Trust operationally at the moment?
According to my information, yes.
What value?
I don't have that information.
And if we were to direct you to find the funding, where would you find the funding from?
Nowhere. We don't have the funding.
Thank you. I feel better having asked the question.
Yes, no, absolutely. Yeah. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I kind of look at this as user pays. I think the figures that were given the other day were 5,000 sporting users, $30,000, that's $6 each in terms of fees. If those fees could be collected through their respective sporting association, it's not much.
Fair enough. So I guess is the comment that will need to go back, are we supporting or not supporting the 30,000? Not supporting. Okay. Declining. Yep.
Take it out of the McLean Park money they give us.
Please don't.
Well, did you say the Park Island money? Or both?
In that. Yeah.
Yep. So that brings us to the end of the list we have here. Let me finish.
Wait, there's more.
Yes.
I'll be watching it live.
Leave them out there.
I'll go outside and watch.
Bear in mind we're still being beamed out live.
Yep.
Councillor Price.
We are, right?
Speaking accuracies.
Hope he appreciates the cardio I just did for him.
Yep. Right, so obviously we didn't catch all of them. So would anyone else like to bring some to our attention? Councillor Crown.
Thank you, through the Mayor. This relates to submission number 266 on page 392. It is on behalf of Accessible Napier. The submitter was Ian Cook. He raises a really interesting issue around our LPR, the licence plate recognition, and how that may disadvantage those in our community with disabilities who have the mobile parking thing. And I just wanted to give officers the opportunity to address that.
Yeah, kia ora, Councillor Brown, and thank you for the question. The mobility parks for the LPR vehicle are excluded. They will only be monitored by officers on foot.
Labels inside their car.
No.
Yep. So to follow through with that, do we have a plan once we go to that to continue to monitor the disability parks?
Yes, there will be still our 9 officers, which are shared across Napier Assist and parking, that will be out on foot, and as part of their patrols will still look at those mobility parks to check. Because as you are most likely aware, the mobility parks are assigned to a person, not a vehicle, so that's why the licence plate recognition technology excludes those areas, and instead we monitor them by the officers on foot.
Does the I just want to ask you just a further question with regard to that. Does what do we call it, the electronic way of doing it via a vehicle, does that catch registrations and warrants of fitness as well?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. So I'll just come back to Councillor Crown.
Thank you. So I suppose, thank you for the clarification. That is what I understood. But I feel like the officer comment doesn't actually reflect that accurately. So it would be nice to make sure that it does. I agree with that, this will not achieve 100% success all the time, but it says the vehicle information can then be uploaded into our system. And so if the mobility tag doesn't always go with the same car, then, do you know what I mean? So I think just a further explanation or a little bit of an expanded explanation there would be good, because we know he's a very active member of that community and that he will share that information around. And so just making sure that we get it right, I think, would be worthwhile.
Yeah, really appreciate that. We'll take that on board. We're working with our comms team around their comms plan, and we'll make sure that messages, our key messaging includes that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. Councillor Mawson?
Yes, sorry, Simon, I'll grab you just for one more, just to work out how that technology works further, just so we flesh it all out. It's my understanding that if you have a disability permit and you park, you get double the time for parking. So how does that work with the number plate recognition stuff as well?
Yeah, that's correct, and we will keep a register of vehicles that we know are using mobility permits, so that we have an ability for, if that license plate is flagged up when we're doing what they call the adjudication process, which is back in the office, we can look to see if any of those registered vehicles have used a permit in the past, and we'll exclude them. However, where they're not included on that register, there is a requirement for somebody to come back and just let us know, I've got a permit, and we will then quickly remove any infringement.
Well, thank you.
Right, any, Councillor Crown?
Sorry, same submission, but just wanting to make sure that we're complete in our response. There's reference to the pedestrian crossing at the Miriwa Shopping Centre on Kennedy Road. Noting that in 2018, Council identified the urgent need. This is a topic which has ongoing conversation and comment from our community around. It would be helpful, I think, to put together a clarifying statement around whether that is something that is going ahead or isn't. I'm confused now myself. My understanding was that it was not.
Yeah, I think a clarifying statement is a very good choice of words for this one, I think.
Look, we don't have officers here from the Transport Roading team, so we'll have to come back to you and give you that information.
Okay.
And if you feel that that needs, response to that submitter or to be publicly made available, then we can do that.
Thank you.
Yep. Further questions or queries here, team? Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just following on from one of the points that you queried was, do our parking people check for warrants and regos on our vehicles?
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there. I actually went off topic for this. We were more specific to this other one, and I'm guilty of leading you astray.
Thank you very much.
So we'll catch that later.
Yeah.
Councillor Price.
Just want to confirm that we sorted out the rates invoices. We were going to refer back to it.
The action point.
Yeah, that's all covered, is it?
Was that in relation to that zeroing out?
Yeah.
We've got that, yeah. I know we said we were going to talk about it later.
Now,
I wasn't sure if we were going to pick it up here.
Is it a drama?
Did you want to put that as an action point, though?
Yes. Yeah, please.
I've got a question about it, and Caroline could probably answer that. Is that like a drama to do that, an expense? Is it like, or is it pretty simple?
Good question. Because we'll look into it, because I do know that we are bound by the Rating Act as to what we are allowed to put on our rates notices. So, yeah, but we could put some supplementary information alongside those rates notices. So we'll look at what we can do and find a way to make it happen.
Thanks.
Cool. Right, if there's no more to add, I guess it's almost an item in itself that I'm going to call for a mover and a seconder to action. So, topics raised by submitters that were not formal consultation items that we have discussed. Do I have a mover and a seconder for those recommendations? Councillor Mawson. Councillor Crystal. Do you guys like to speak to this?
Just a huge thank you to everyone that submitted, including those that came yesterday. As reiterated by the Mayor several times, it's not easy to come in and actually face up, and our community did. So, yeah, thank you all for the submissions. It's been great to read them all, and, yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Councillor Crystal.
Yeah, just the same. Thank you to everyone that submitted. The community are our eyes and ears, and they're the ones that are seeing the things that are going on and come up with good ideas. So I encourage people to come and present to us and give our ideas, because we're certainly not the be-all and end-all of where it stops of what happens in our city.
anyone else wish to speak for or against? No. I will now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Getting to that one, yep. We now have a minor matter to discuss. Deputy Mayor Taylor?
Thank you, Your Worship. It's quite an interesting one, and it'll leave a little bit for an officer to investigate. But recently I was in the process of looking at a centurion, a person who's going to turn 100 in December, and was looking on the website around getting congratulatory messages from the King and the... And it states that a person can get one from the King and the Prime Minister and a local MP and the Mayor of the city in which they live. But there's a supplementary list of cities that provide that, and Napier's not on that list. Hastings is. So therefore, I just was interested if there's some history as to why Napier is not on that list, and as we have a ageing population, we have more and more people who may be coming into this category and who may wish to have a letter or a card of congratulations from the Mayor of the city. And it would be interesting. And I just think it'd be nice to find out why Napier's not there, and if Napier perhaps would like to be on that list, along with many, many other cities of New Zealand. And it's not me turning 100.
You look great.
Oh, sorry, did you say when's your party, Keith? I'd just like to remind everyone that we're still going out live. And
Through the chair, if you'd like me to take that as an action, I can speak to, I would assume the DIA, but I will find out and we can bring if necessary, a resolution through to council. If not, we can just action it. Thank you.
Just a question, do people have to tell you they're going to turn 100, or is there a list?
No, you have to apply, and you can only apply up to 5 weeks before the birthday, just in case, God willing, they don't make it.
Waste of paper.
Look, sitting in the seat of the Mayor currently, look, it'd be an honour to be involved with writing a letter to someone who's made it to the century, and it'd be great. So if we can follow through with that,
but definitely get a written one too.
Right, this brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. Please stand for the closing karakia. Kia tau, rai mare, kia roa, kia katoa, kia peki te ora, te kaha, me te māramatanga, i ngā wā katoa, ki hei, mauri ora. Right.